first time turning the PC on in like, I don't know, 4 weeks. I was just using my laptop earlier in the day to do whatever I needed. I've just woken up from a coma, a jet lag induced coma. I feel like I've returned back to my house and it's like, it's a different life.
I saw you creating strats for this team, and this is how they react to you. You know, the IGL of Team Plat chat. I
know. I get no respect out here. No respect.
No, you do not.
The amount of times we just don't listen to you is fucking so high, and I just ruined the monetization.
It's incredible, actually. It's incredible how it's always Bala. It's always Bala. It's crazy.
At least it's something bad for me. It's not late all the time.
Yeah, true. Yeah, TMV, do you have a Premier team?
Just me and my friends who aren't very good, really.
How did you do?
Well, it was quite funny actually because none of us could do the Saturday game, and then the Monday game we were actually 3 of us were in a house together, and 4 of them were on. So we actually just swapped in the chair. We just played 1 round each, 3 of us going back and forward. It was a stupid system. Well, honestly, if you ever want to play Valorant and you're just getting really angry at it, and you want to not like get angry at Valorant, doing like a chair swap actually like really reduces the mold rate, because you just like feel like I'm just subbing in, and it's like you're hopping on the comms, it's like, what up guys, yeah, let's do this, let's go here, do this, and then you just swap out, and so you can never get like invested enough in the game to actually get mad at the game. So if you are struggling with getting too angry at Valorant,
then just account
tag out.
I thought when you said that, I was like, you're subbing in because you don't have 5, so you have 1 computer that's just empty and 1 person's playing a second, but you're doing it like old GTA. When somebody dies, you just swap.
Yeah, we were doing like a 7-man.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
I really want some of the teams like Global to just do that now. Like they really tried with these crazy rosters. Like next time Global plays against Paper Rex, that's what I want to happen. Yeah. They just sub the players in and out based on who's popping off at the time.
It's what Paper Rex is doing anyways with Benkai's computer. So.
And Sean, you went 1-1 in your games in Premier as well.
Dude, it was a total shit show. It was a total shit show. Yo, watch this clutch. Watch this clutch I'm about to put in the chat. You guys actually have to see this. This is absurd. That was from our second match. Josh, you will appreciate the fuck out of this as a Phoenix main.
Okay. This is Phoenix main gameplay.
This is Division 20. This is the very top. The upper
It's crazy,
echelon.
actually. I mean, Division 20 has so many teams in it. Like such a large skill spread, I feel.
Yeah, there's
right,
like 10 of us.
Are you? No. Is your name Rice Bulgogi?
That's definitely not me. I'm the one getting 2 kills before Rice Bulgogi.
Right. Okay.
Oh my God! What? Oh my God!
Wait, that's crazy.
That is insane, bro. That is some World of Warcraft tech.
The most pivotal round of the entire game, 8-7, and we run away with the game and end up winning it.
How does that even happen? I mean, he goes for the Phoenix ult there in the 1v1 and just in an impossible spot. Like, you're just never winning that. If the guy's in any position to push stairs, he can just walk as soon as the molly disappears. It's a Phoenix molly. It goes away in like 2 seconds.
Yeah. No, this is Scream against Victor right here. Phoenix against
No. I mean, yeah, okay. In an alternate universe where Scream doesn't get knifed. Isn't that what happened, or was it Victor getting knifed? I can't remember. It was Scream, wasn't it?
Scream got knifed by Victor, who was playing KO.
Why would Victor be playing? Yeah, why would Victor be playing
now? Did you see they made it a spray?
Yeah.
Yes. Is that what it was referring to?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. All right, okay. Let's get started with some Valorant talk, shall we? Obviously, if you've been following the Plat Chat channel, I'm going to assume you know how our Premier games went. Mimi spilled coffee into her keyboard, and we lost the game in overtime in an unbelievably tragic fashion after 12-0 in the first team. So, yeah, I feel like a lot of people have gone 1-1 this week, although that is how the system's supposed to go, I suppose. Let's talk about 100 Thieves to begin, and this segment titled 100 Thieves Go Back to Learning Chinese, because there was just an incredible video posted by 100 Thieves. I think it was last week, where Nadeshot comes in and he's like, no, it's all right, bang, you don't have to learn Chinese anymore. It was fantastic, really well lent into his own thing. And then 100 Thieves just kind of got battered this week by NRG. I was hoping this would be somewhat close, but my God, it wasn't.
It wasn't even as close as the score suggests either. The score was 13-7, 13-3, and Bind could have been 13-3, to be honest. I mean, Cryo had a 4v1, they had a 1v2 as well. I think the pistol was a 2v4 that they won. Like, this could have been even more one-sided. It felt like it was. I mean, and NRG, we should give credit to NRG as well. Like they, you know, ever since like the role swaps back and whatnot, it seems like they're like, you know, coming into form and you know, are playing like the NRG that was promised. But for 100 Thieves, I mean, it's not a great look.
Yeah, I thought, dude, this game was so lopsided. Like it wasn't even close. Like at no point in this game did 100 Thieves look like the better team. But there were times on Bind where you were like, oh, are they going to win this map anyway? Like at the start.
Yeah.
And it eventually was like, oh, no, they only got those fluke rounds. They only got the clutches. They only got the bonus in the second half. You know, like it was only the fluky type of rounds that went 100 Thieves' way. And every round where something crazy didn't go in their favor, NRG closed that out rather cleanly. And I thought the Harbor Viper looked insane here, especially with a Sage. I loved NRG's comp.
Yeah, the Sage was good too. I mean, yeah, it was just clutch rounds. Honestly, it's the second time as well that 100 Thieves just gets dumpstered on Fracture like this. They got owned by, what was it, Fnatic at lock-in too, in what felt like similar fashion. I feel like 100 Thieves right now is struggling when Asuna is just not popping off. And obviously Cryo had some moments. Asuna had a couple moments on the first map too, but like it feels like it's reliant and kind of back to what it was way back in the day where Asuna was such a pivotal like swing factor for the team, and it's not going to be sustainable with him. It's not.
When I was watching their games last week, when Asuna was playing on Split, who the hell were they even playing against actually? Was that their game against
Leviatán, no?
Oh yes, yeah. That was their crazy upset win against Leviatán.
Yeah.
Well, when you saw Asuna play there, the vibe shift was just insane. Going from Cryo to going to Asuna, the way that he's like surging forwards, taking as many fights as he possibly can, and creating tons of space for the rest of his team to try and make. Whereas with Cryo in the mix, it feels like they really have to like properly set up every piece for him. Like he doesn't just take those instinctive aggressive timings, and I don't think that they just look so out of sync when they're playing with him in that classic jet role. That's obviously not what happened in this game. Like, to be honest, they were just completely, absolutely outplayed from the game plan all the way through to the end. But I did think it was quite interesting, this this article that the interview that Mike's had. I just put it in the chat if Kurt could pull it up. It's a .esports article where he talks a little bit about how the team's failing to really set Cryo up properly, and talks a bit about their spacing and how their utility is not coordinated either. But actually, this game just felt like from head to toe they had lost it. Like NRG, really from the first gamble of picking Bind, were in the lead.
Yeah. Also, like to touch on the Bind pick for NRG versus 100 Thieves. 100 Thieves, like they were running the same old strats that they were running last year when they were really good on this map. I mean, they were really good on the map, but honestly, it's kind of been seen so often, like the old Viper wall that cuts off beads, the walk up elbow. They weren't able to really use that too often, and just like some of the stuff. Actually, they were even going back to like some really old Viper walls that Fnatic were running like at the very beginning. So they didn't update their ideas on Bind, which I felt like was really bad.
Yeah, I think, did 100 Thieves use the Viper wall that cut through the B teleporter and blocked off like deep showers? I know NRG ended up using it.
I think they stole it because they went to defense side second. I think they were just cool after that. But like,
okay.
I would hope so, because that's like the one major change that you could do with Viper.
Yeah. I don't know. I think when I watch 100 Thieves, or I guess obviously I have some insight because I coach them, but when we were pretty good on Bind, a lot of it was like, in my opinion, because I'm the coach, it was a lot of like game plan stuff. Like the first time we played it, we ran a specific comp, and then the second time we ended up playing the guard, and I knew the guard would pick Bind because they like it. So before that game, I was like, I think we should switch our comp. We should run a Sage. So that game, we're game planning to change our comp. And then the next game, you know, I think against the guard, I was like, okay, we need an A rush, a B rush, a B fake and an A fake, and then we'll just cycle through them. And then in the next game, I ran fakes off of those fakes. And you see, like, we're constantly like building as we go. And it's like every match is a fake off of the prior match. It's a game plan. It's like I'm game planning wins, it felt like. Whereas now it seems like there's a potluck of strats, and every game, you know, it could be this strat or that strat, but there's no real overall overarching reason behind it, if you get what I'm saying. Like, there was some games where I'd be like, all right, in the first 6 rounds, we're going to heavy hit the B site, and that'll open up the A site deep in the game. And that'll also open up the A site in the next game, because the team that watches this VOD will think we hit the B site a fuck ton, and they're going to lean that way. And so, like, that's how I would kind of like plan out these games. But when I watch 100 Thieves, it's like, this is the strat we like doing, and we're going to do it against NRG, and we're going to do it against this team and that team, and it's just going to work. And it just doesn't work that way in Valorant, because there's so many little things that can counter you. And that's what I see right now when I watch 100 Thieves.
I mean, especially on Fracture, right? They've been doing the same stuff on Fracture for the last 3 games that they've played. So much so that, I mean, yeah, me and Bala have been running their strats in games that we've been playing in Ranked. Like, literally, we've been just copying the 100 Thieves stuff because it's formulaic. You just know what they're going to be doing. And we were talking about it during this game as well, during the prep, during the desk, during the cast, the fact that you know what this team is going to do. And I do feel for the teams to some degree, because it feels like having to play every week and playing against such high level competition, you always need to be reinventing yourself. But you do. That's just the reality of it. That's why Leviatán is sucking at the moment too.
Yeah. It's not even reinventing yourself, though. It's just adjusting your strat for what's going to win next. It's, this strat was good to beat the meta, but now people know about that strat to beat the meta, and they're going to counter that. So you have to preemptively counter whatever you think the counter will be, and that's your next match's strat. But I don't see that when I watch 100 Thieves. I see the same strat, even though there needs to be slight adjustments. It can look similar, but the timings need to be slightly different, because you're now adjusting for the counter. You might need to stall by 10 seconds at the start of the round. You might need to up the pace. You might need to remove a piece of utility and go and dry it in a certain area. But it could still look the same in the end, if you get what I'm saying. Like, just slight adjustments. That's all they need to do. I think they have the playbook. It's just, and they have the players. Like, honestly, they have everything they need to, like, make a deep run. I actually think they could potentially upset Loud this week. I mean,
that's some cope. Where's that coming from? I mean, they just got absolutely stomped by the other teams. I mean, Loud are looking shaky for sure, like in terms of like how they're pulling these wins out, but they're also just beating everybody currently.
Yeah. It's more like a statement on what I think of Loud's shakiness has been lately, and the up and downs on 100 Thieves. Like, I think they'll just rebound back. Okay. It's like a good upset match, like a trap match.
I want to talk, right. I want to talk about NRG though for a bit, right? Because they talked in interviews about the fact that Finesse just decided, coming out of the most recent game that they lost, like he said in an interview, I've only got one strat left, guys. We just go back to our comfort roles and we just start winning again. And then that's what they've done. Does it concern you at all about their ability to, you know, make new stuff up when we get to playoffs, or new stuff up when we get to Tokyo, that kind of thing? Do you actually, I mean, I'm kind of preempting myself there. Do you think that they're going to be able to still go on a run like that? I feel like they look back to their form, but they also, this is their first couple of games of showing their, you know, back onto comfort role kind of maps again. And so far the inventiveness has fallen over a little bit for NRG this year.
Yeah, I mean, but I feel like the inventiveness, I mean, number one, they got preempted by a lot of teams. Number one, Fnatic and Loud were both ahead of the meta in significant ways that they were not as prepared for. But number two, they're messing around with the roles more so than anything else. And I don't think that speaks to their creativity. I think that speaks to like just where the players wanted to be and how flexible they wanted to be, and how that might give them advantages in like different styles of Killjoy players and different styles of Jet players and whatever. Because like Sean was saying, like you're actually switching up how teams are preparing against. just one role swap like that can give you a major advantage. But that's just not the reality of how I think the game is going to progress until you get really, really good at being able to flex like that. So I don't think we've seen whether they've lost that creative aspect or not. My point.
Right.
Yeah, I just have faith. Like, you know, to me, if you're beating teams, like if you're stomping teams, we've all seen how like close, especially the Americas League is, where it feels like, you know, it is a coin toss some games, like, you know, on who turns up. But if you're like, you know, stomping teams like they did against the 100 Thieves, then, you know, that's a really good sign. And I think, yeah, I agree with Ball, where it's like, to me, when they were swapping the roles and stuff, it felt like their foundation was also rocky, you know, just in terms of like people knowing where to be and what to do at the right time, you know, maybe wasn't always perfect and whatnot. Now that they've swapped the roles back, it feels like everyone, you know, knows where they need to be. Like everyone just instinctively is already there. They have that foundation to where now, if they want to, you know, they can just build on those ideas because they have that foundation set up within this structure of these roles with these players. And, you know, I think obviously we've seen that FNS and Chet are good enough to, you know, cook up whatever strat, you know, to get pretty deep in tournaments. And so I have no reason to not believe that, you know, that things would be different this year, especially how they've looked in these past two games where it has been, you know, two pretty convincing wins.
And to be fair, by the way, the bind stuff was really, really nice. Like Sean already said,
yeah.
the harbor stuff was excellent at controlling the map. And I thought that was going to be actually kind of hard to implement, but they made do with the basic walls. They made do with the basic stuff. And I think that's impressive enough.
Dude, Harbor on Bind is so obnoxious because when you look at the map, it doesn't actually look like they're doing too much. It looks like they're putting the smokes in the same rough place that you would a Brim smokes. And then you see people trying to retake through it, and they're like slugs. They're like trying to break through the fucking Harbor wall, whereas you just go beep boop through a little Brimstone smoke, and it makes things so obnoxious. I mean, B on Bind was already statistically one of the hardest sites to retake on, and now you are just trying to push your fucking face through this jelly that you can't get through that slows you down at the back of the site the whole time. It's so obnoxious.
Remember when Harbor first came out and everyone was like, oh, they need to up the slow. They need to up the slow time on these walls.
Slow.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if they would have done that?
Imagine if your teammates didn't get slowed. Because that's like the thing that people really push for. Like your teammates, like your teammates just plowing through the Viper walls and everyone else is just like,
It'd be crazy. It really would. But this is why I bring up the point of, do you have faith in NRG going forwards all the time? Because no one had seen that bind stuff. No one knew what they were going to run. You know, that was so different to their old bind stuff that they ran. And no one had seen their fracture. They literally hadn't played fracture since lock-in too. So who are NRG coming up against next? Do they have? They must still have some really tough games. Do they have Furia?
Wait, no, they don't play Loud. That's 100%.
I think no, it's Furia.
No,
it's Furia this week.
Yeah.
So
Furia
that's a really big battle. The game against Furia in particular, because Furia also on a bit of a downswing and might end up in a similar spot to NRG, and you know maybe this ends up being a tiebreaker or something. Now that people have a feel for what NRG are doing, you still think that they're going to have the quality to be able to get through a game like this and look really good.
I think NRG is exactly who I thought they would be. I actually think this is like the stride they hit. They're a team that historically like doesn't play well at the start of tournaments when there's high variance and like the comps are crazy. Those like games against Xerxin shit in past tournaments, like they're obviously way more skilled than some of these teams they lose to in early tournaments. But when the variance is high and they can't like predict rotations, there's no VODs, that's when they struggle a little bit. But deep in tournaments, when there's footage known, or say like right now in this group stage, this is when I think they're going to hit their stride. And also, obviously, they're going back to their normal comp. So I think they have that going for them. But 100 Thieves and NRG have very differing problems because NRG has always had this core of like CS veterans. Like they probably have the most CS experience out of any team in Valorant. And because of that, it's very easy on someone like Chet or FNS. Like there's no need to really teach players how to mid-game or properly space or trade. It's all just, can we cook up a strat? What can we do to anti-strat? And there's so many good voices on NRG as far as mid-rounding with like Som, Crashies, Victor, FNS, and even Artist can probably do it. That, yeah, as games progress, as there's more footage known, they're going to get better and better. That's why they make deep runs every tournament when they don't get bounced out in the first couple rounds. They will keep doing that because their mid gaming will be better than everyone with this lineup. And that's why, like, Artis was a good pickup for Marv. It's just like he has that too. Or I'm sorry, for Ye, sorry.
Yeah. So let's talk about their opponents then coming up. So that's FURIA. So FURIA got a big win this week. They managed to easily dismiss MIBR, who MIBR are just absolutely in the dumps currently too. I mean, they, after that Super Week nightmare, have just been looking like they've got nothing in the tank whatsoever. Is this a case of us thinking MIBR were better than they were because they beat an NRG that was, you know, not at their form? Or because I still feel like this team looks worse than when they beat NRG.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I agree. I think that they look worse. I mean, they look like the worst team. They look worse than Crew. Even though Crew haven't won a game. Like they've played what? The last 6 maps. They've played one close map in their last 6. Not won a map. They played one close map that they lost.
Yeah.
Well, they
like
threw.
when like to me it's like if you're getting like destroyed. And again, we've seen with teams like, I mean, Sentinels admitted that they didn't have any strats on Fracture, and they still stomped MIBR. And they came out and said, we just poked it. Like, if that's not a sign for concern for MIBR, I don't know what is. But, like, that for me makes it difficult to know what to think of FURIA. Because, yeah, they won over MIBR. But it's like, yeah, everyone's winning over MIBR right now. So how good actually are FURIA? Because they started out hot, and then, you know, here on this podcast, maybe, they ended up on 1 on a power ranking. And then things got a bit shaky. And then now they beat MIBR, but it's like, yeah, how much does that really count? So I think FURIA are a tough team to kind of figure out. I would definitely, in their game against NRG next week, I definitely favor NRG, because I just feel more conviction about NRG right now. But yeah, FURIA are a bit of an odd team for me, where, you know, they'll have some good games. It annoys me to no end that they always pick Ascent, and then obviously everyone picks defense against them, and then they win 2 rounds on attack, and basically have to just come up with some miracle to win their a defensive side. And it's like, you cannot lose a round, you know, challenge, and then they end up losing the map to, you know, half decent teams, because they continue to pick this map where they don't know how to attack on their map pick.
Yeah. To be fair, the overrating of FURIA happened when Khalil looked like the best player in the game. And the difference between Khalil week 1, 2, and then Khalil week 3, 4, 5 has just been enormous. Like, absolutely enormous. I'm just trying to find out where he is at the moment. Okay, so week 1 and 2, he's ranked, you know, I'm just going off the VLR rankings at the moment. But number 1, week 3, 4, 5, he's ranked like under middle of the pack. He's got a 0.98. You know, like most people are sat at a, well, not most people, but I think it tries to average it out at a 1.00, and he's, you know, under average. So that the insane performance that we saw out of Khalil, where he's hitting every single shot, winning every duel, looking like a freak, looking like an absolute menace, that disappeared. And I'm very sad about that, because I really thought that this guy might be taking that next step, because he's been a good player for a long time. But those first 2 weeks, I was like, holy shit, he's taking the next evolution.
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that it's never going to come back. I mean,
no,
like,
of course.
He's definitely shown a little bit flashes, but I think it's definitely gone more to like Mazin and stuff like that more than anything else. I think for FURIA, I'm happy that they're kind of giving up on some of the old stuff that was really wonky, like the Chamber on Split. I know, Sean, you liked it a lot, but like once they lose that map to Loud, like you see how easily it's exposed. And I feel like their Pearl as well, they've given up on that Neon thing that they were doing with the Breach, which is nice, and actually netted them that comeback win against MIBR. So I have faith that like they cooked enough. They've shown like some more things that you can latch onto than in comparison to some of the other teams. Like TMV, you're saying you have no conviction with this team, but they have still some nice stuff. Like the Haven comp, for example, they were very good at. They haven't really played that much yet because they haven't had to. But I don't know. I think this team has what it takes to actually make a run at Tokyo. It wasn't just a fluke number 1. And I'm not sure how much this game proved this week. I don't think it proved much at all. And I think that's probably why people are struggling with it. But there was moments from Digizin where I'm like, okay, yeah, the calling out of the timeout was pretty good. I still have faith with this.
Yeah, my faith was starting to like waver a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was like, oh, are they not the team I thought they were? Like what actually happened to them? Because I found they started to look flat like in a couple of their games. And then I started to realize like, oh, well, their coach isn't here. Is that a factor here? Like, and then their coach came back this last week, Coach Carlisle, and I found out that Frost, their GM, was the guy that was coaching their team live in the moment. And then I found out that Frost doesn't even speak Portuguese. And I'm like,
yeah,
what the fuck is going on? Like, actually, like, is this why this team is looking sketchy all of a sudden? Like, were they running off of like the stuff they had at lock-in? Like, how much has their coach been with them? Like, I have no idea. I'm still pretty optimistic about them. Like, I look at their schedule. I look at, they've only lost maps. I guess they've lost maps to a few teams, but then they lost series to Loud and Cloud9 right now. They're sitting at 4-2. They beat Leviatán. They beat EG. They beat MIBR. They beat all these teams that they should have beat. Like they've done. I mean, they haven't lost anyone. I feel like they shouldn't have. You could argue maybe not Cloud9, but Cloud9's looked insane. Like, I think they've done everything they've needed to. I think there's a very good chance they hit a stride right now with their coach coming back.
FURIA are going to determine the playoffs.
Yeah,
like, they play NRG, 100 Thieves, and Sentinels. Like, those teams are kind of all in that, like, fighting for somewhere between maybe 4th and, 3rd and 6th. Like, they're all in that mix. So, literally, like, FURIA, depending on how FURIA do, like, it could really just determine the whole thing. Because those games are going to be, like, massive for playoff seeding and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, whichever one FURIA wins against first, the next team after that, I think they've already locked up playoffs. So the team that plays after the W should have an easier game, right? Like if NRG lose this first one, 100 Thieves might just get an easier version of FURIA that are taking their foot off the gas a little bit. But if NRG win, and then they go hard in the paint against 100 Thieves to try and make it the playoffs, then maybe Sentinels get the easy game afterwards. Like it's so crazy that all three of these teams that FURIA are playing against, and to be honest, FURIA themselves, because even there is a chance that FURIA lose all three of these games. It doesn't seem likely, but it's possible. And then they ended up in some wild tiebreaker. Like a lot of these teams would end up 4 and 5 at that point. But yeah, they do seem like they're doing fairly well right now. Yeah, I just want to see the FURIA NRG game, to be honest. I feel like that's just going to answer so many questions about where this team is feeling like they're going to end up as we get closer to playoffs. I want to move us on to the team that we had just mentioned there, Cloud9, because oh my holy dick flattening, they annihilated Sentinels. And we talked about the NRG 100 Thieves game not being close. This one felt even more absolutely done. Like, I can't remember what the scores were here, but I just remember casting this and being like, oh, this is over. Like, this is like way over. It was quite nice for Sentinels to get the pistol round and a bit of a fake comeback on Fracture, but oh my God, that felt like it could have been a 13-0. Am I wrong in thinking this just absolutely cements Cloud9 as the second best team? Like, there's just no other team near them, is there?
Oh, yeah, it's easily. It's easily the way that they're able to just farm a team that actually had a little bit of potential. I mean, you saw them lose the first 3 rounds, then they win an eco. Of course, they have the highest eco win rate in the world, or probably actually in the world. Probably, although I don't know. It's 30% or something like that. Highest in Americas for sure. And yeah, I mean that just gives them such an insane tool. Plus the prep and anti-stratting that they're able to do, the way that they just shut down Marv. I mean, Jake did such a good job in that matchup. It was insane after giving so many props to Marv in the week prior.
Look what they did to Zekin in that game. Look, my boy Zekin.
Yeah, poor Zekin.
1 for 11 in opening duels. Like, they fucking killed my man. Like, what the hell? This was like such a game planned series by MCE. Like, honestly, I feel like they knew Sentinels was going to pick they knew Sentinels was going to pick Lotus. They super prepped for it. Their defense looked insane. That was a game they lost pistol and the bonus, and they won their defensive half of Lotus 9-3. They didn't lose a single gun round. Like, what?
Yeah, I'm inclined to give a lot of that credit to Leaf as well, though, because I really like the comp and I think the game plan was good, but the way that he was moving around the map and reading the game and like just feeling out where Sentinels were going to hit, knowing the hit was going to come towards him. I swear, every round he's in the right place to deal with the hit coming through. Every round. He was obliterating Zekken early. Stuns were always landing in the right place. His rotates took him about 3 minutes because my man's got the zoomy shoes on. And he's just, he was unstoppable.
No, I think that's what I mean by like it's a game plan thing. If you go back and watch it, I swear you'll notice Zeppa throwing like guiding lights, birds everywhere on Sky. Leaf kind of playing like the center of the map, like by those A stairs or maybe by like C link, or even sometimes pushing a mound. There's like a guiding light that goes over waterfall. There's a guiding light that goes deep A. There's a guiding light for front B, and you'll see Leaf just constantly reacting to the info that Zeppa's getting. And just being very, very proactive with the info. Like, I don't know if I've seen a team use the Sky info as well as Cloud9 did in this game. It was impressive.
And he's not doing like the normal thing too, where like the footway, which is neon diving and taking space with it. He's constantly just rotating, getting to the right spot, checking what's happening.
Like look at this clip right here.
Where Marv is going to be, that sort of thing. It's so different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. I mean, my only question for C9, because I mean, as long as they keep playing like this, they're gonna make it to Masters Tokyo. I mean, the way that they look, I mean, it seems like it would be an upset if they didn't at this point. And then my only question going into Masters Tokyo would be, how do they perform against teams that they're less familiar with, you know, when they have less time to prepare, right? Where the games are closer together, you don't have like a full week. That's like my only, you know, kind of thought about Cloud9 in terms of where things might go wrong is.
Let me approach this as if we're a traditional sports podcast. Are the rookies going to perform it against the playoffs? Like, because that should be a question. But honestly, Jake and Rooney have just been so good that it isn't a question that anybody's asking. But I feel obliged to ask it anyway. Do you think they're still going to be performing at this kind of level when the pressure's on and a trip to Tokyo is on the line? Because I mean, look at this. Rooney's just Chad sticks it against a player that won champions last year.
I kind of had a rough day.
Ricardo's been rough all around, but the amount of situations that they've been throughout the season that you're just like, this is a clutch situation. He only has a sheriff, and there's so much pressure to win the round, like the swing round. It's happened so many times. You're just like, yeah, he does it again. I watch whenever I see like Rooney in a 1v2, Jake in a 1v2, I give them so much credit. And that is why I'm not even asking that question. Because in those pressure moments, they've shown themselves to be fucking diamonds, like insanely good. That question's not even in my mind.
I don't think so either. Honestly, because the whole group stage is on LAN. Like, it's in front of a small crowd.
And they played everybody already.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't think it's gonna get to them.
I
think they might
maybe
get
like
game plan
Tokyo when there's a big crowd sort of thing, but
yeah. Obviously, that is a very different situation.
I think you have Zeppa, you have Leaf, you have Zolsus. These guys are just yelling obscenities anyways and making you feel like you're not even playing in front of a crowd anyways. Like it's so easy to get pumped up when you're playing with those guys. So is it crazy to say that I feel like I'm more strongly feeling like Cloud9's a lock for Tokyo than I am about Loud? Obviously, both of them are very highly probable to go to Tokyo, but like I feel much more strongly about Cloud9's 100% qualifying than I am about Loud right now.
No, there's no shot. There's no shot.
I could see the argument. I think like if you would just say who's playing better Valorant right now.
So you're saying that a team can beat Loud? You think a team can beat Loud twice? Like
no,
you think Cloud's gonna lose twice?
Very, very, very probable that Loud is going to Tokyo because they're gonna get first seed. They're gonna win at least one of the matches.
I agree. A team can beat Loud. I agree with you. I think the chances of Loud getting beat once might be higher than Cloud9. But like, I think if Cloud9 lose once, like their confidence falters and they could lose twice. Whereas Loud, I don't think they're losing twice. Those guys are definitely going to Tokyo, in my opinion. There's just no way. No two teams can beat Loud in playoffs. I refuse to believe it.
Yeah, I mess with that argument. I mess with that.
But it's also not going to be Cloud9 Loud once we get to playoffs, right?
Yeah.
They would have to lose to a different team.
That's what I mean.
Because that's the way that the seeding works.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's no one that's going to beat them.
Honestly, the top two
might be
seeds are
jinxing them,
so
but-
favored to get to
Yeah.
Tokyo. Like they only
Yeah.
need to win one game, and they're going to be playing against not the other top seeds.
Yeah.
But I do agree that Cloud9 are playing better for Valorant right now. I would love to see a rematch before we get deep into playoffs. Like, for whatever stupid reason, if there was a rematch next week of Cloud versus Loud9, sorry, whoa, Loud versus Cloud9. If there was that rematch, I'd be putting my money on Cloud9. I really would. I think that Loud caught Cloud9 early on in the season when they hadn't developed everything, when they were still in that stage of building out their map pool. They still managed to win on Split, and it looked incredibly good. I think Loud have actually been playing more of the same stuff every time they load into a map, whereas Cloud9 always have something different. What have Loud shown us that's really different? I guess the two comps on Ascent play very differently. And then aside from that, I feel like most of the time when they load in, I mean, definitely with their Split, but a lot with the other maps too. They do the same kind of things and hold in the same kind of places. I'm sure that'll swap up once we get to Tokyo. I'm sure they're still cooking up different stuff. But if they were playing a regular season game, I do have more faith that Cloud9 would win that. I think they're playing better Valorant right now.
I don't know. I think you're underestimating. Like, yeah, Loud does. I almost said the same shit you did. Yeah, Loud does run the same comps. But even if you go and look at that crew game, right? What you're going to notice is, yeah, they're not doing like innovative stuff. They don't need to. What they're doing is they're playing significantly more loose than like prior VODs would show. They're like slightly changing the way that you perceive that they would play. So like that last game, they went up to A on Pearl. They just like walked out. I watched Ospas walk through the harbor wall into Art on attack side. Like that is not a play they make in week 1, 2, 3. That is a play they make now when you're trying to like account for all of the shit that they've done. And now they're going to scrim the fuck out of you because
Dude, they were doing crazy like that. They were doing that against EG as well. When EG battered them on map 1, it got to map 3 and Les is just running in like 1v3 to duel them. Because the EG are expecting it to be like, okay, there's going to be a utility timing and we're going to counter flash from in this spot. And then like Les just runs at them.
So yeah, while like most people are saying like, oh, they don't look as good, they look scrappy. I'm actually thinking like, holy fuck, they look insane. Because now they've proven they're willing to take off the gloves and play scrappy, or they're willing to do like this pretty ass exec. And you have to prep for both. You have to be ready for that scrimmy walkout, which is impossible to be ready for in that scenario they did it yesterday. Or you have to be ready for the exec. And if you're ready for one, the other one's going to burn you. And that's the threat of Loud, is like they're willing to do that. Like they're insane. They're fucking insane.
Part of the reason why Energy was so scary, or Optic last year was so scary, was because they had that capability to go for the crazy exec or kind of walk out with smokes. So it's incredibly impressive to see Loud continue to expand their strat book. And yeah, maybe it's not as creative, although I really liked. I think it might be this round where they pit in B-Link. There was a couple rounds that were definitely super creative that we hadn't quite yet seen out of them. But yeah, the extra stuff. I did feel like in this game, they, especially earlier, especially on Pearl, it felt like they were just cycling through like entire strat book just to get reps on stuff. I low-key felt like they were just practicing when I was watching this, because they started off so strong, and I was like, they're just kind of doing a different version of this AXX twice, like 3 times in a row. It was so weird.
I feel like they have pocket ult strats ready for playoffs, like several of them for like every map. And I feel like they're just going to like breeze through. I feel like they're sitting on a lot of pocket strats right now. That's the vibe I get when I watch Loud.
I hope so, bro, because they played like 17,000 maps at this point. That they're so disadvantaged when it comes to their regular strat book, outside of like being able to throw in variations and looseness.
I assume you guys all saw the like less stuff. I know that it's been a couple of weeks now since that, but I don't think we talked about it on the podcast at all. But like Les is really playing with an absolute fuck you attitude at the moment, and it seems to have extended outside of the game against Sentinels too, where he's like spraying Sassy's body and talking about how, you know, the work environment was not what, I don't know what phrasing he used, but essentially like really aggressive work environment that they had last year with Loud. What does anyone feel qualified from the translated stuff to comment about that kind of stuff? About like how intense a work environment like that should be, like what's acceptable?
I kind of read like both sides translated, like what SkRossi was responding to, and SkRossi just kind of said like, yeah, I mean, I wanted the best out of my players, that sort of thing. It was just like, yeah, of course, like that's how I am. But I don't know. To me, it makes sense that Les could harbor some ill will towards SkRossi or whoever. But it also felt like, based off the translation, that Sadak was kind of an accessory to it too. So I'm surprised that the shift has happened so significantly in Loud, where they're like, it's great, it's so positive, we're always just looking to improve and stuff like that. I'm a little surprised by that, but I don't know. Different players have different reactions to that sort of thing. So
Sadak had spoken about it and said that that he had followed Sassi's kind of point of view at the time and had changed his approach to it for this year. And he had, the way that Sadak was talking about it, or at least the way that it was translated, was like, I really appreciate working with Sassi. He taught me so much, but I don't think everything we did back then was really good. Yeah. And I've chosen a different approach going forwards. Well, Sean, what kind of attitudes do you prefer in terms of like having a captain or having like from a coach's role? Like, do you enjoy the like hard ass, really require the best from absolutely everybody approach?
Yeah, so when I was like it's changed a lot over the years. Like when I was IGLing in CS, like as a pro, I just did everything. Like I had no coach. I would just tell everyone what to do. I'd like micro everyone. And then it changed over the years where I would like delegate things. I would start, because I realized like, oh, I can't tell people what to do enough in a given round. So I need to start delegating information for them to learn throughout like the week. And then we would reconvene as a group and go over it. And then nowadays, like when I built the 100 Thieves team, now that I have kids, it's a big focus of mine, like how you communicate with people, right? Like, so when I built the 100 Thieves team, I made sure like all the players could communicate well and feel heard and understood how to communicate to each other, as well as listen to others to make them feel heard. That was something I kind of learned when having kids, like, and just like going through like a bunch of shit. So I actually
read a parenting book to learn how to coach.
Yeah. So like in 100 Thieves, honestly, like the way that I like to do it is I would like tell them things and then I would ask questions. So that way everyone had the same idea. So I'd be like, hey, when we do this setup, what do they do if they go B? What do they do if they go A? I know the answer. I know what I would do, but I want you to tell me what you would do. And I want, Bang over there to tell me what he would do. And I want you both to decide together what that answer is going to be. And I want to do that for like a million different scenarios, right? Like and certain people communicate that in different ways. And I'm guessing SkRossi is very, very direct the way he communicates those things. And when things go wrong, people have different ways of communicating that, right? So you might create a setup like the one I just described, like what happens if they go A, but you don't iron out like what if they go B in the practice. And SkRossi might be the kind of player like, what the fuck were you doing, Les? Like the setup it's so obvious, like you rotate this way. And that kind of communication probably rubbed off the wrong way. But it's very common in these esports teams. It's super common. Like, I'm not going to take a side on this because like I've seen both ways. And I totally understand SkRossi's point of view and I totally understand Les's point of view. It's just how people like to communicate. But that's all it is.
For me, I just speculate further about potentially reasons why this team did not stay together. I know there was comments about like how it was money based or whatever, but like me, it all comes down to the players' relationships at the end of the day. And when you see it split up and get fractured like that, I think of that as a reason.
Very possibly.
But yeah, to be frank, I mean, like all sports environment have the different sides too. Like MJ was a fucking dickhead. Like Michael Jordan was a dickhead. But he was still the greatest player of all time. Like, and his teams were fantastic at doing the things that he liked to do, which was setting himself up.
And that was Sassi's point, right? That they won champions, and they improved so much throughout the year as well.
Turned into a fucking demon. I mean, from the beginning of the year with Loud, which they were still great, but less to the end where he was Finals MVP in my mind. Like, come on, there's such a big difference
It wasn't linear though to me. I mean, he looked fantastic at Reykjavik in my mind, and then he went down a lot when he was playing Chamber, and then back up again towards the end to an even higher peak than we'd seen him the first time. And Sassy had said that one of the big things that he was getting frustrated about, and probably articulating himself in a very bad way, was that that Les would like forget certain protocols and things that they'd hammered in scrims wouldn't translate through to matches, and Sassy would get frustrated because he knew that Les knew it, but it wasn't coming through in the game. Yeah, it's difficult, like, when a player has a point of view of, like, anything's acceptable, or not anything, but, like, those kind of behaviors are necessary for you to win, right? And Loud has taken a very different approach this year, which is we're going to win even without being pricks to each other, basically. We're gonna win without getting aggressive in terms of how we communicate.
Yeah,
anyway.
It just depends. Like, it really depends on, like, what a player thinks. Like, right? Like, I felt like I had to always be there for the practices and the boot camps and stuff like that, just because you need that kind of environment for team morale and, like, the buy-in. Certain people just think teams need certain things, and Saucy probably thought he needed to be really direct to get issues ironed out. Les probably wanted to be communicated in a nicer way. It is what it is. Like,
there's a lot of hard asses in the scene. I mean, a lot of them in the coaching roles as well.
Yeah,
but yeah. Okay, let's flip the script a little bit then to the team that they played against, Crew, because it definitely felt like there was chances for a win here. There's chances for the wins in all the fucking games that Crew plays. They always win a map. There's always a chance that they could potentially get. I mean, normally it's a 2-0, isn't it? But are they gonna win a game?
I mean, they should. Come on, they should.
What do you mean, come on now? They've got less and less games. The more times we ask, it means it's another week. It means they missed out another chance.
Sentinels and Cloud9.
Cloud9 might not try in that last week, right?
Maybe
might be.
not. Even then, I feel like Cloud9 not trying is sometimes, like, low-key just how they play anyways. Like, dude, the thing is, I think what's his name? Davies is taking a little bit more of an extended break than just the one match. So X Shetty actually has, like, more time to play with this team, and he looked insanely good on their first, like, outing. On the first week, he played 3 different roles. He looked really, really good. I say you give him another week, and all of a sudden you might actually have a team that would have won this game, honestly. Because he just subbed in dry, like, the day before type thing.
Yeah, he's a good player, and I know that some of the LATAM Brazilian commentators and stuff have been wanting him in a lot earlier.
I didn't know that they wanted him in earlier.
The bench. Yeah, just because he was known as a, like, top player, and this team's been having so many struggles, and so people wanted them to make a swap a little earlier on and give him more time.
I mean, he played some hard ass roles in this series too. He played Harbor on Pearl. Yep. He played the KO on Ascent, which in my opinion is probably, like, the most important role. And then he played the Raze on Split. Like, it kind of threw him in some pretty tough roles.
Yeah, definitely. Do they get a win? And if so, I want you to name where it is.
No.
Love. If there's
you think they beat Leviatán, the Inter-LATAM matchup?
Yeah. They play up against them before. Like Lev, until they poached their owner. So they poached Crew's coach. They were losing to them constantly. I think
Kesnet rivalry game as well.
No, I'll legit be mad at Leviatán if they lose. I'll be mad
too. I'll be mad too. But if there's a chance, I think it's this game out of all of them.
This is going to be a banger. It should be a banger. I mean, Kesnet is definitely gonna come into that game with an absolute fuck you attitude. Like,
the thing is, like,
the whole reason he went back to Crew is because they didn't want to start him over Taco.
Exactly. So that the fight between those two, the only LATAM versus LATAM match, is going to be really exciting. I thought we'd have a little bit more of a story going into it because Crew might have had a win or two before this, but unfortunately, like, they're really not playing for anything except that fuck you energy, to be honest. Because I don't think they're able to beat Cloud9, and that's the only way they can make playoffs. So they have to win all 3.
Sean, TMV, what are you feeling?
I think they have a chance against Leviatán. My worry for them would be that Kesnet gets too amped up and just starts going in completely on his own and just dies, straight away every round.
Even if he does that, the guy's a beast.
I mean, yeah, he'll still probably win a round or two by doing it, but I do worry that he's just gonna get so amped up. He's just gonna he's gonna be like, what was it called? What was it? Tech pause. He's gonna be like Mr. Tech Pause, where he's smashing the keyboard.
John McEnroe doing a line of coke and playing Valorant, basically, is that character.
How the fuck do these guys have a chance against Leviatán? Like, what happened to Leviatán?
Let's talk about that then, shall we? Yeah. Leviatán got upset by EG this week. By EG, what a fall from grace. Not that EG are playing bad Valorant necessarily. They're playing some of the best that they have, but
it's just that the week before they lost 100 Thieves. It's like,
yeah,
bro, these guys, what happened to Leviatán?
Well, they're running the same. When Plat chat Premier team is running some of your Ascent pistol rounds and stuff like that, then the pro teams know about it if Plat chat do. So that to me is...
What is that supposed to mean? What the hell?
They're running the Plat chat pistols.
For real though, for real. I mean, I've been deep diving into the Leviatán stuff because to me they are the easiest team to pull protocols from and replicate, because it feels like everything this team does is protocol based. Like everything this team does is protocol based. They're going to do the same things, the same approaches every time, so that they stick to the script and have that discipline and get their grams of protein from owner. And at the end of the day, if they missed out a protocol and did something on their own, owner's going to beat them with a stick or something, or they're not going to get a sip of soda at the end of the day. Like honestly though, when we've been playing Premier, I seriously do, I just go to a Leviatán VOD and I'm taking their protocols because they're really good. The ways in which they approach things, like if X happens, we do Y. And then, if the next wave happens, we do this, we do that. And it's so concrete. And it means that everyone's on the same page and they're really well coordinated. But it also means they're mega, mega predictable. Like if you identify what they're doing, you will be able to know where almost everybody on the map is. If you trigger a certain protocol out of them, you're getting the same response every time. And I can see teams doing it, man. It's even more obvious on Ascent because they've been doing the same stuff on Ascent forever. But any cat pressure, you instantly get the nade forced out of King. And then if you walk up a little further and he peeks you, he's going to be pop flashing. And you just know that if you play around these certain timings, you are going to get the same responses coming out from the team. And to me, that feels like the biggest downfall from them is just teams know exactly what they're going to do. There's none of that reinvention happening at all. They're playing the same as they did week one.
I feel like some players benefit from that on the team, like Shy, in some cases like Mazzino, specifically King too. But I also feel like what made this team scary last year was the ability to not play within that protocol type style. I don't feel like they were like that until Champions came around, and then they lost in playoffs when people could see what they were doing.
So the chamber meta.
Yeah.
So they were good in the chamber meta and Taco could
they
just
were good
get
at the
a kill
beginning of
and
the season,
TP
though,
out.
Sean. That's not like I get the point, but I feel like early.
Don't you think that's happened to them before though? That people were saying, why does this team always fall over towards the end of tournaments? And I never noticed it before, but I think it might be something similar.
Yeah.
Ooh. Also, that's an exploit.
That is definitely an exploit.
That's an exploit.
You cannot jump over abilities.
No punishment?
No punishment.
No, so I actually called it out the second it happened. I think there was no impact or something.
Bro, he would have died.
No, something EG
They
won
lost the round anyway. I don't know. Mate, the rules in this game are non-existent. You might as well throw them out the fucking window.
God, they were so good the week prior, and then this week was just so bad.
No, because I saw that clip on my YouTube feed of Ospas jumping over a neon stun, and I was like, wait a second, this shit is fucking possible. And then when I saw this, I was like, oh, you could just jump over every ability in the game. You just got to know the jump trick. That's all it is. You just got to time it right and just jump. They need to patch that shit ASAP.
Yeah, they really do.
For sure, because you're not going to spot it every time.
Even if they're relying on Baller calling it out.
Imagine I'm just what if you're just jumping through these nanoswarms, bunny hopping through? Do they hit you throughout the whole thing? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you can see what happens. It's happened in matches before. I don't know whether you need to be in a corner or something, but if you just jump repeatedly, like if you get stuck in a corner, like it frequently happens with when you play Jenny on Icebox, if you get snakebite in that corner, you can just tuck up in the corner and you just jump repeatedly, jump, and you take very minimal damage from the molly. And it's an exploit in VCT. It's written in the rulebook. You're not allowed to do it. It's a very gray area in some points. Like, for example, if King was trying to jump out of the molly, like if he was trying to leave the molly entirely and jump away into mid, and he happened to dodge one of the blasts, is that an exploit? I don't really think it would be at that
accidentally
point.
jumped,
But
bro. My bad. Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
I just pressed my mouse
when
wheel.
you're in a corner like that, my mouse wheel. Shut up.
I mean, let's call tech pause. My mouse wheel. My bad. I was supposed to die there, guys. Let's tech pause.
Yeah.
It's.
Are you sure it's a corner though, Josh?
No, I don't. I said I wasn't sure.
Look at the clip I just put, and I think it's the like split jump onto the box mid. It's like the super jump. You know, like when you like hold crouch and you let go. I'm pretty sure they're just getting a little bit higher in the air and they're over the distance of effect.
What have you just put in here? Oh, the clip of Aspas jumping the stun. So the one of him jumping the stun, it only works if the neon stun is underneath on Fracture. If you neon stun the ground and you try and jump over that, I don't believe you can do it. But it works here because you jump outside of the spherical radius of effect of it.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. But again, I haven't gone into the lab and tried all of these things out, and I do know there was a bug recently with people jumping over breach ults and shit. So there's clearly something funky going on with that.
That was the third one I saw.
But I think they already patched that. I think they already patched the jumping over breach ult thing.
Okay.
But to be honest, you need a fucking PhD in bug finding in order to stay on top of all of this stuff. Do you remember when swoop peeking through Viper mollies was like an incredibly important thing in the game that gave you a massive advantage? And then they tried to patch it, so the tech changed. You could still do it, but you just had to swoop peek in a different way. And I swear to God, going into Champions, I was following this one Viper one-trick YouTuber in Radiant who would keep putting out videos on how to swoop peek so that I knew what to look for when the pros were doing it. And I could correct other people when they were like, "Oh, that was a swoop peek," and I'd be like, "Well, no, actually, they patched it in the most recent thing, so we have to." It's just so absurd the way that you have to keep on top of stuff in this game. It's bonkers. Anyway, what were we talking about? Why Leviatán have dropped off? Let's get back to that topic. Does anyone have a serious theory on why this team has gone downhill so much, apart from mine, which is like they're getting red-hearted? Do you think it's a form thing, an approach to the game thing? What's going on here?
King's not an actually good IGL.
Ooh. Ooh, the hot take, baby!
That's your YouTube short.
Yeah, right there. Just one statement. I watch the Ascent game against EG. Watch just any of the times that they start to lose a bunch of rounds in a row, and they just continue to do the same thing over and over, especially on attack side. The attack side calls are constantly just group up, hit something, and for some reason that's so weird because they should be a defaulty team when you're talking about like the protocols and whatnot, like all that sort of thing. But he just constantly is calling these hits through cat, just the A split, just go for the A split, go for this B hit, and it shifts in such a way that like you could tell he's thinking, let's try to abuse their B side because whatever I've spotted makes it seem that we should be able to get on the B side, and they call it 3-4 times in a row. Like it's just they shift the side of the map that they're thinking of. They're shifting the thing that they're trying to abuse, and it's very, very readable and understandable how he's currently calling in that. This Ascent attack side particularly is the one that I've seen multiple times now. It was the same against FURIA when they lost this map, and it's just over and over happening. And I'm just like, this can't come from a IGL like King when he's supposed to be one of the best callers in the game.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that on their Ascent. Do you think that it translates to other maps in their pool as well? Because I haven't really noticed
Pearl
it
too. The attack sides on Pearl, it was the same type of way. It's either you're doing a couple A rounds in a row and it's similar executes in a row.
To be fair, on Pearl you can just go B.
Well, yeah, I know, but even that, like they weren't just going B. They called the same like double lurk through B link after a B hit like 3 times in a row. To try to abuse a specific factor of the way that the other team is playing a B retake. So that aspect of it is good, but I don't agree with just like I don't know, he gets caught in ruts. I don't know whether he's like losing faith in his teams to be able to execute just regular defaults, but he gets caught in ruts multiple times, multiple rows, where he's just going the same thing in a row.
I do feel like he's more of the IGL that pulls strats from a book rather than making adaptations on the fly. And I think that in the past that's been a really good thing for that team because they look so drilled on like a bunch of different things that they can do. And again, they're all on the same page because they don't really have to be winging it too much and improvising. But yeah, they look like they have a real difficulty getting out of the mold.
I feel like Taco doesn't feel like a super impactful jet when I watch Leviatán play. And that's not anything to do with his like individual skill. It's more like every round he's told what to do, it looks like. And even like that round right there, it didn't look super comfortable for him. He's not very good at like...
That's a crazy one. This round is... I don't know what they're going for.
Like when I watch Taco, I compare him to the other top jets in our region and other regions. Like I saw this guy on Chamber Meta. I saw him play jet before that. Like he looked insane, but it just looks like very passive. Like it doesn't look like a lot of confidence coming out of Taco. And for someone that's only picked jet, like I don't know, he needs to have more value on this team. Like the top fraggers on the team can't be King and Noswar. Like he has to be up there with them. He needs to have impact on the entry. Like for a team that's super tactical, I would expect him to be alive more, like in the mid rounds, like dashing into smokes and flashing.
It has to do with the way that the strats, he's constantly dashing in and getting way ahead of it, or not way ahead, but like taking that space, and that's it. That's the whole strat. He can't be as dynamic, and that's something as well that I've noticed with Leviatán. Not necessarily specifically Taco, but obviously Taco has the room to be as flexible as possible when it comes to making the extra play, right? This round is just fucking pathetic, by the way. Like the last round.
Bro, I hate this strat. Why do teams keep running this push? It like never works.
Well, I mean, this one is particularly bad because he gets knifed at the beginning and they don't call to cancel it. I mean, if you want to talk about a team being like dedicated to the call and not thinking for themselves, this would be the #1 example, wouldn't it? Like, holy shit, once you get 0 pointed, they're like, abort! Abort!
It's funny because that's the type of strat that I do want them to bring out every once in a while. Like one of the coolest things about old Leviatán was old Leviatán. It's almost the same roster, to be honest. But like the champions one is some of those cool ideas that they brought out. The tile spam at Copenhagen, that sort of thing. That was like, holy shit, that's so cool. They are not really pulling out any of those things anymore. And when they do, it's super late. It's desperate, and they commit to it, like you said, in a way that people should be able to call it off. So where is that flexibility is where I need Taco and I need other players to be able to have a little bit of leeway and a little bit more fluidity to get out of those protocols, to make hero plays sometimes, to play to the risky play that you think might work because they're not checking this corner or something like that.
I definitely think if this team had somebody with the proactivity of, I know this is going to sound bonkers because I'm just going to name the best jets in the world here. But, you know, yeah, the proactivity of somebody like Durko or Aspas
or Kesnet.
What?
Whoa.
I mean, he might be a bit too proactive. You still need someone that the team can play around. Like, you need someone that's... So the reason that I bring up those two is that I know that they have agency. Like, they will call at the beginning of rounds, like, I want to do this, and then their team will build plans around, like, where they want to be in order to get the most impact from them. And that's what I think this team would really benefit from. It's not even Taco, like, being better at his role or anything, but just having more say in where he is positioned on the map. And, like, I think I can get the most value in this spot. Give me, telling somebody, give me a flash, give me a drone, like, come and help me get value here. And then it's King's job to kind of set the rest of the pieces up instead of pulling it from a playbook.
Good work. I mean, dude, like I said, go into his profile. He's only played Jet. Like, he's a Jet one trick. So, yeah, he has to be directly compared against Aspas. Like, these guys run similar comps, actually. So it is a fair comparison to make, I think, to compare him against Aspas. Because if you're gonna have a Jet one trick and literally limit your comp diversity, you better have that Jet performing. Like
0.68 KPR is really poor
for a Jet. Like that's the true problem, is that he's a Jet one trick. Like if these stats were like across a wide variety of agents, I would be like, okay, well at least like they're trying a lot of different stuff. They need to figure out a way how to get Taco active if they're gonna have him be a Jet one trick. Like it's not gonna work for them. And that's, in my opinion, the key change from like week 1 to now.
He was tweeting a lot of stuff about being really out of like
confidence
in his own head, out of his comfort zone, that kind of thing on stage. And yeah, if you just look at his recent tweets, a lot of them are like, well, I mean, not
what?
I have another kid on the way, Sean. That's what.
No, I was giggling because I just pulled up Taco's recent tweet, and his most recent tweet is "fuckum," and I was just like, okay, well, what is that? What is that?
You didn't even see the tweet that Kurt pulled up.
No, I didn't. I was looking at "fuckum." But that was tweets and replies. But yeah, if you scroll down, there are some things that. Oh, don't look at tweets and replies. That's not a good idea. You'll just see "fuckum." I mean, that's not necessary. Yeah. Anyway, let's talk EG just for a second here. What would be a good season for EG? Did you see the report that said, you know, Potter's got to produce results within the next couple months or couple weeks or whatever it was? Yeah. I mean, that's just the end of the split, right? Like, that's just do something by the end of the split. What does, in the context of EG, in the context of having a 10-person roster filled with fairly, like, a lot of mediocre to fairly decent talent, no serious star power apart from, what, like, BCJ, I guess, was a fairly big name, but still not the, you know, not on the top list of initiators.
Respectfully, of course.
2023. Yeah, I mean, listen, Big Cock Johnson's a fantastic player, but also BCJ was not, you know, at the very tippity top of the list for 2023. Well, what would even be a good season? What is good results when it comes to EG? Is this enough? Are they now at a position where they should be winning against more teams, making playoffs?
I mean, I would say any team who doesn't make playoffs, you can't say you've had a successful season if you don't make playoffs, when the playoffs is 6 out of 10. Like, you're not having to, you know, finish in the very, very tippity top half. Not even the top half. Like, so to me, any team who doesn't finish in the top 6, like, you can't look at that and say that's been a success, in my opinion. Like, if I was like a CEO of a team.
I mean, also, a lot of those teams will have been paying a lot. Well, at least I say that, but there's a fucking 10 people on EG. So they really didn't go for the cheapest option possible, did they? I still don't understand what the hell they were doing in the offseason, to be honest. But they must have had the vision or, like, told Riot they were going to have 10 people or something. They must have felt obliged somehow.
Yeah,
Academy team.
I'm not going to lie. I feel like if EG get a win over like MIBR and like end this season, what, like 3-6, I feel like they overperformed. No, like
based off of the start is what you're saying, or based off
of like everything I know, like the team, you know, like versus all the other teams. Like if you look at the other teams, probably like the budget they spent on the players versus some of the other teams.
Yeah,
you look at all of those things. I think this team has probably overperformed. And the roster turmoil they've had, like, I think Potter has cooked up some insane game plans, and I would argue that EG probably has like the most issues when it comes to like skill in their roster or experience, right? Like, out of anyone in BCT Americas, they have the most issues when it comes to like skill and experience on their roster. Is that true?
Most of these teams have all had at least like 3 players who've gone to LAN.
Yeah, so I think they've overperformed, and I don't know how someone like Potter has her job in question because of that. I don't feel like she was given even like a fair chance this season compared to, I mean, bro, if she had some of these other NA rosters, I think like they would have, and they ran these plays, I think the mid gaming and experience on those rosters carries through a lot more wins than a 2-4 record. So I don't know like what to say. I think it's crazy that people are questioning Potter's job. If anything, like I don't know what goes on with the roster. Like that should be in question. It's just like, why are these roster changes a thing? Why were there 10 players on the roster to start the season? It makes no sense.
Yeah, it is incredibly odd. I feel like without clear insight into why those decisions were made and, you know, whether Potter's vision was a 10-person roster or whether that came from higher above, it becomes very difficult to say. Is there really a path for them to get into playoffs? Can they make top 6?
I mean, they can win their next 2 games. And if there's like a tie for a 4-way, 4-win teams, like to get there, they would have to beat. They would have to beat Sentinels, which would probably be one of the other teams on 4 wins, or over thereabouts. So that would be like an advantage for them. It's possible, but it's unlikely. And if NRG have something to play for in that last game, I doubt they'd beat NRG. So
I mean, there's situations where they only win 1 out of these next 3, and they're within the 4-way or the like multi-way tie at the end of.
Right, if like FURIA just wins out and the other teams don't, and then there's like Sentinels, 100 teams down there or something.
It's very possible to see Sentinels and MIBR win, and that all of a sudden puts them in great contention. I mean, be probably head to head against Sentinels, like MV said,
and that would be a wild situation.
Yeah,
like, that would be such a successful, incredibly successful.
I agree with Sean fully. I think what you see in the server is insanely good in terms of game plans and coaching and like some of the ideas. I think it's fully experienced, and also Demon One's is a gem. That guy is insanely good. Probably some of the best Jet knives I've ever seen, and that speaks to a lot because we've seen so many Jets cycle through VCT. Like he is a beast, and to be able to do some of the stuff that he does against some of the talent that he's doing is, I mean, mad props to be able to pick up a guy like that and actually give him the chance.
Yeah. Let's move on to predictions. Let's talk about the Americas games that are coming up for this week.
Anyone that much credit for being MIBR, which I think, like
fair.
You might give Sentinels like credit. Oh, they won 2-0. It was so convincing. They beat MIBR. And then they got absolutely slapped. And I know it's against Cloud9, who are obviously a very good team. But, like, to me, I want to see teams, at least play it close, at least be in the game. Like you said, like it could have been a 13-0. They could have genuinely lost like 13-4, 13-0. And that would have been great for, clout, but not so great for Sentinels. And EG, like you said, I feel like, I don't know, I feel like they're just on the upswing. I feel like the mood is probably pretty good with EG. I think they have a bit of a, probably confidence. It took balls to not ban Pearl after losing at 13-0. I'm sure they lost that map, but it was close. So, yeah, to me, this is a pretty close game. I don't know how you guys feel, if you feel like super confident about Sentinels, but to me, this is a fairly close game where, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if Sentinels won, of course, but I mean, where these teams are right now, I think it's fairly close.
I think it's totally fair.
You think it's close, Sean and Bala?
Maybe not as close as he's saying, but I think it is fairly close. But Sentinels is on the end of the positive percentage. I feel like Marv. We didn't talk that much about Sentinels. We mostly talked about Cloud9. But I feel like Marv coming back into the team is something that can inject a lot of energy during Super Week. But for a team that has as many problems as Sentinels shown in the weeks prior to Marv joining, and also just probably the drama surrounding the team in internally as well. The fact that Tens is getting replaced, that sort of thing, is probably getting tons of fucking harassment on the players. I feel like it's an easy way to downswing in the next week, but give it a little bit more time, give Marv the chance to work within the team more than simply like, I'm just going to do my thing. And you'll have an integrated squad. And I believe in the fact that SkRossi, Kaplan, and Marv can do that. So,
are you ever going to get Marv doing more than just let me do my thing?
No, but
seriously, I'm not sure. Like, do you think EG is going to be able to come into this game with a plan and a like way of dissolving Sentinels to the same degree that Cloud9 did. Because what I've seen from EG is very good, like, specific anti-stratting, but not so much having a really solid set game plan for a team that's going to be as loose as Sen.
Yeah, they don't have the experience to mid game. Like, they're stuck doing like pocket strats and like gimmick things that Potter can cook up. That's what I'm saying. Like, they don't have the experience like Sentinels or NRG to move around the map if rounds get scrappy and like 4-on-4s, 3-on-3s. But also, this matchup is just like, so from TMB's perspective, it's like, these teams are pretty close. I agree. Like, if I were to just take a step back and look at the results and everything, they're super close. But this is one of those like regional matchups, right? And it's the same thing as like when Loud played FURIA. I just knew Loud was just going to body FURIA. And that's the vibe I have here. It's like these Sentinels players have been on like the top of the NA scene for a long time, or the top of the world scene in the case of like Penkata and Saucy. Like, they are going to sun EG in this matchup in the same way that Loud did that to FURIA. Like, in the same way that NRG did it to Sentinels. I'm telling you, there's something that happens when these matchups transpire this way. And I heavily favor Sentinels in this matchup, even though the results would lead me to believe it's like close or even that EG could win. I still heavily favor Sentinels.
It's a good job, TMV, that you went with EG, because otherwise, if we had all gone Sentinels and Sean gives a speech like that, that is like the perfect anti-guarantee kind of thing for EG. EG would get the most likes they've ever gotten on a tweet, ever. All they'd have to do is just post your little... In fact, they'll still do it anyway. All the EG social has to do is just clip you saying that when EG win. And
you know they are.
No, you think they're that aware?
That shit's gonna pop off. It's gonna get like 100 likes, bro.
They're not.
Oh, God. All right, let's move on to the next game. What do we got here, then? It's Cloud9 playing against MIBR. Oh, God. I mean, come on.
Just kill me.
There it is. There's the guarantee.
This one I couldn't feel better about. This one is like, if Cloud9 lose to MIBR, the way MIBR are playing and the way that Cloud9 are playing, what has happened? What has happened on this planet Earth? Because of all the guarantees, this is the guarantee of all of them. There is no way. Clip this, MIBR, if you want. There is no way that MIBR are going to beat Cloud9. There you go.
It really is just so free, isn't it?
Oh, just digging ourselves a deeper and deeper hole.
Desculpe. I'm Googling, I'm sorry, in Portuguese.
Let's just move on then. Loud versus 100 Thieves. That's the next one coming up.
I'm high as fuck.
Oh, I think my camera's frozen.
Oh, no.
God, I love this.
It's the guarantee picture forever. All right, next one. What is a Loud 100 Thieves?
I'll smile again.
Are we smiling? Surely 100. No. Oh.
God damn it! He took the picture out of me.
I thought, Sean, you were gonna go for it, bro. You were hyping up the upset so much earlier.
Dude, I was thinking about going for it, but I felt like if I went for it, it wouldn't happen.
So you're playing both sides. I love it. I love it.
No, I think it's possible. But it would be like if Loud just did an anti-strat super hard, because I do think there's certain things that 100 Thieves do that's very readable. And I feel like if Loud put a lot of anti-strat time in, they could game plan win pretty easily. So I'd have to sleep on that aspect of the game a bit, or 100 Thieves have to change some comps.
I feel like Loud is trying to play the same maps, and doing that on purpose so that they don't get any more footage, like on some of the maps that they haven't played a lot here in America, like Fracture. Obviously, Bind just came back in the pool. I thought they were honestly going to pick it against Crew because they were just so good at that map. Auspice was such a beast last year. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like 100 Thieves could throw a curveball and just get some footage out there, but even then, I don't think that Loud is going to lose. If they do that, then they're running into a fully like unknown situation. Good luck.
Who do you think's the first team that Loud lose to in Americas? Do you think they lose at all the whole way through?
Next year, to
They could lose to
M80 M80 next year.
Okay, good answer. Sean?
Loud losing? Oh, they're
Yeah.
gonna lose to NRG like next week.
Really? Okay.
On God.
I can see it
I'll
happening.
predict
I mean, at that point, Loud might have top 2 already secured. I mean, they literally might have
Probably.
like no reason to even like try. To be honest, they could
Also, it
spend
would
that-
just be great
but-
for the NRG Loud rivalry, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
NRG win a somewhat meaningless game, get all of the NA fans fired up, and then Loud dumpster them in the playoffs.
feel like-
or in the,
I feel
in
like
Tokyo.
Loud cares a lot about having a perfect record because they still have not lost a regional game like ever. So Sadak, Aspas, those guys, I feel like they probably care a lot about that, to be honest.
I forgot about
Otherwise,
that.
they probably would have dropped them.
They've
dropped a
only
series
ever
so far.
lost a Masters or Champions event.
those 3 teams. Crew,
Yeah,
Optic.
Crew, Optic, and
And
Fnatic.
Fnatic.
Yeah, Fnatic. That's
Yeah. Yeah, good point. Good point. I forgot about that. That's insane that they've kept that up. Next game coming up is Leviatán versus Crew. So, Bala talked about it. Oh, and it's not even Bala. It's TMV. Going for the underdogs in all of these. It's a win for EG and Crew this week.
Yep. No explanation needed. Just simple yes. I don't know. I guess I'm just Leviatán are just annoying me. I guess that's my main
He's
my
ready to
main
stick a
thing.
fork in them.
I feel that.
Yeah,
done
yeah.
with
They
them.
just annoyed me. They don't change anything, and I don't know, because I think like the way you've spoke about this team before, Josh Leviatán. I think you've been pretty high on past iterations of this team, and I was pretty high on Leviatán as well. Like going into champs, going into lock-in, I was like, yeah, this is a really good team. They're gonna go really far, and so just to see this kind of, I don't know, like. Yeah, slow decline, fall from grace, stagnation, I guess would probably be the best word for it. I could see that in a game like this, like, it gets very scrappy, Crew Leviatán, Latam game, like, the gloves come off, it's just like it just turns into a scrap, and then Kesnet wins that scrap, basically.
So my question is, you have them losing this game. They then play Cloud9 and Loud to end out their season.
Oh, they're done.
They're currently 3-3. They would be 3-6. Wow, that's actually crazy because they need this one so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do.
They're
I think.
done. Clip this, Leviatán. They're done.
Wow.
Oh,
That's a lot. I think Leviatán are going to come into this game knowing that they can beat Crew. Like this isn't some game where it's not like there's pressure on them because they need it for their season. But it's not like they're playing against a difficult opponent. It's not like they're playing against an unknown opponent. They know what Crew are going to do, and they've been able to beat it before. Yeah. I think they're going to come into this feeling comfortable.
Yeah, they know what they're going to do, but they also know that if
Crew know what they're going to do as well.
If Kesnet beats them, they're losing their jobs. They know that.
Yeah, but I just, when was the last time that Leviatán lost a game to a LATAM team?
I mean,
It must be ages ago.
Challengers, Latin American South upper finals against Crew.
what was the date?
When was that?
This
Oh, then they won
was
the grand finals.
June 11th. Yeah, they came back and won in the grand finals.
Actually, that isn't as long
that's
ago
not
as I thought.
There you go. I'm chilling.
Yeah,
I'm capping too. In that tournament when they beat them in the Leviatán beat them in the grand finals, they lost to Fusion in the upper semis.
All falling
so
apart.
how did they lose to Golbal?
6
They're
months
just
ago.
losing all over the place.
Upper semis and then lower.
These guys
lower
aren't even the best team in their freaking region.
This is pre-Masters Copenhagen, by the way.
Yeah.
Josh is getting talked out of this.
Yeah, suddenly the Crew pick seems mighty interesting. No, I don't know what it is, but no, I do know what it is. It's that I really like all of the game plans that Leviatán put together. They play pretty Valorant, and it's boiled my brain because even when it gets dismantled by other people that know exactly what they're going to do, and even when Taco's dropping fucking 4 kills a game, I still feel like, but their game plans are so good. How are they losing? So, yeah, maybe I've been duped and deceived here, to be honest. Let's move on to the next game, though. The final game. This one's the final game of the week. It is NRG playing against FURIA. Should be a banger. Who we got winning it? Oh. We've done it to them.
Poor NRG, dude. Dude, if they don't make props, it's our fault. It's straight up our fault, man.
This is actually messed up that we did this.
We're so fast back on the NRG train, just ready to curse them again.
Oh, I'm feeling still fine about it, to be honest. I'm in on NRG. I'm in on NRG.
Oh, you can't
When they win this game 13-5, 13-7.
No.
Oh, no.
Who knows?
Oh, no.
I won't be on next week, but here we go. FURIA are going to pick a cent again. They're going to attack side. They're going to win one round, and then that'll be that.
Why are you putting credence into the guarantee? You're literally adding more fuel into it. Oh, no.
No.
Yeah. Do you know which teams NRG has beaten on Ascent?
Oh,
They've beaten Crew. And then the last time they beat EG back in June.
Crew will beat 100 Thieves 13-4 on Ascent, I'll have you know.
Okay, so they've beaten Crew. They've beaten EG in June, and then they beat TSM in May of last year.
What are you talking about?
Oh, no, sorry.
This is
That's the old NRG.
I was like, when you said 100 Thieves, I was like, wait,
right.
there's no way. They never played 100
That's absolutely
Thieves.
correct. That's absolutely correct. Sorry. I've got their thing up now. So they beat Crew, and then they beat Team Liquid after they've lost to Loud, DRX, Loud, Exet, then they lost to Loud, then they lost to Exet again, and then they've beaten Exet and LG back in June.
Those are
Loud
pretty
like
good teams.
3 times.
Yeah, that's a lot of Louds and DRXs.
But they have consistently lost to any team that's good on Ascent.
But my point is that FURIA isn't that good on Ascent.
Oh,
FURIA just lost to EG on Ascent.
No, this is a dangerous game we're playing.
Did you just
Calling
say
FURIA not good. This is dangerous. I feel like we're underestimating FURIA right now.
I don't think NRG's Ascent has been historically that good.
No, I don't like their Ascent. I definitely don't like their Ascent, but I still think they're better than FURIA.
Yeah.
But
I think
We all
this is
picked them. What are we doing?
Well, I'm just saying I don't think this should have been a 4-0 pick.
No,
That's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's closer than
Well,
we've
then
given...
swap your pick.
True.
I think in week 2, FURIA bang out NRG like 2-0. What do you guys think? Like in week 2, I definitely hard lock FURIA right now.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But the thing is, NRG, it's literally must-win matches. Like,
Yeah.
Dude, if they lose, I mean, unlucky, I guess. We fucked our season. Sorry. I guess we're losing our jobs.
Okay, let's go into a power rankings. We can talk about all of these things a little further. The power rankings for Americas have always been terrible. I mean, the other regions are really starting to settle down, and there's a bit of like up and down in the middle of the pack. What are you looking at me like that for?
Pacific is in the fucking goop right now.
Yeah, but that's the middle of Pacific is all over the place. But I feel like the bottom and the very top have been extremely stable.
I like how you put our names up before the power.
Just in case people need to know. All right, when was this from? Was this just from last week?
No.
This
2
week.
weeks
Last
ago.
week we
2
did the
weeks ago.
Pacific one. This is from like a couple weeks ago.
Right, a couple weeks ago.
Speaking of this, actually, someone put our week 1 power ranking on there where I was on it, and me and Bala didn't have Leviatán 1 because Leviatán lost. So people are going on the subreddit and putting up that picture being like, haha, Plat chat put them 1, and my face is on there, making it look like I did it. But actually it was you and Bren, Josh, and a coin who decided to put Leviatán over Loud in that one. So don't bring up week 1 power rankings when it's week 6.
I'm sorry, it's too late, and the internet doesn't forget. So
Why would we have put Leviatán over Loud week 1?
Because you're a fucking dumbass.
They beat NRG and you and Bren were just off the rails.
Wait, who beat NRG? Oh, you mean after week 1?
After week 1, Leviatán
beat after.
beat
Yeah. I thought you meant before week 1. No, that makes perfect sense. Okay. I think number 2 is Cloud9.
To me, hold on. This is a debate.
Might be first, yo.
And you said this as well, Josh, and I agree with you. It depends what we think of this as a power ranking, because I think right now, and you said it as well, Cloud9 are playing better Valorant than Loud.
Oh,
so
God,
it depends what you think.
Son of a bitch.
It depends what you determine a power ranking as. Like predictions, I would put Loud 1, Cloud9 2. But for playing as they are right now,
that is what a power ranking is supposed to be.
I think Cloud9 are playing better than Loud right now.
Facts.
That's why I put. By the way, that's why I put FURIA above Loud back when they were playing better Valorant than Loud, and then I still predicted Loud to beat them because I thought it was going to change.
Yeah, you were pretty right about that.
Yeah, so this is
Let's do it. Let's do
I'm on
it.
board
Let's
with this.
start.
It's crazy.
Let's have
It's
some crazy
absolutely
bullshit.
crazy.
Let's go. It's not that crazy.
No,
I mean, it's kind of crazy. Loud are undefeated. They've never lost a domestic game.
Yeah, but Cloud9
Yeah, but
had
Cloud9
two
have
new
lost
players
one
at the
game.
beginning of the season. They're just
Yeah.
crazy.
Okay.
You could argue
The people
it,
are going to
honestly.
hate this.
Yeah,
I love it.
We did just have a tournament in Brazil, so we're not going back there for a while. So we're good.
I think there's a tier break.
Oh, here we go.
between Cloud9 and Loud, I agree. No.
Yeah, after Loud for sure. There's definitely a tier break.
After Loud, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
NRG are my 3, I think.
Oh,
Over.
they
Who are you
might
putting
not even
above?
make playoffs, bro.
Who are you putting? We just all praded them to beat FURIA. Look at the other teams.
It's
Who are
also
you
not
putting
about
above
Preds.
them?
It's
I think
it's
we have
also
to do
not about
this.
Preds. We have to do this.
We have to do this. We have no choice, and then we have to put Furia 4.
We have
Yeah,
to
I
put
put
FURIA
FURIA
4.
4. But we just
And
all picked
now what do
NRG
we
to
do?
beat FURIA, so there's
Now
no way
where
they
do
can't
we
be
go?
3.
This is where shit gets fucking crazy.
Yeah, now I don't know.
All right, let's put.
No.
Oh, I put MIBR in 10th, by the
MIBR.
way, as well.
Oh yeah.
I'd put
Yeah, I
Crew
was gonna
above
say
MIBR.
5th, but yeah, you're right. 10th.
Yeah.
Through 9,
Yeah, I
MIBR
think you're right.
10.
Yeah.
Ooh. So
And now
who-
I don't know.
The questions are: is who's not making playoffs?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't
God.
matter.
Yeah, but-
NRG
but-
could not make playoffs, and I'd still put them 3 here.
All right.
Yeah, but if they lost to Furia next week and then they lost to somebody else, isn't that what
Loud.
NRG have to do? They have to lose to. Oh, they have Furia Loud, don't they? Oh,
Yeah.
that is actually.
But they could
They're
still be the
fucking
3rd best team, but
nasty.
just have a tough schedule.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, I'm putting Leviatán at 8.
Whoa, bro!
No. Crew 9, EG 8, Leviatán 7.
I dig the Leviatán 8. I've got them losing
I
to
want.
Crew, so...
I really want to put them a lot like low like this, but I just can't. The thing
God.
is,
They've been
I
getting
can't
bodied
make,
lately, dude.
I know, but I can't make arguments for Sentinels and 100 Thieves to be better than them.
No, I
and
can't
not-
have EG over Leviatán, though.
Well, yeah, of course not. Like that's crazy. I can't make that argument. But 100 Thieves and Sentinels too. Like, there's no chance I can make that argument.
Yeah,
What
that's
do you mean you
actually
can't
tough.
make an argument for EG over Leviatán? Didn't they just beat them?
I mean, Ichi and 100 Thieves just beat them, man.
They literally just
At this
beat
point,
Leviatán.
Fuck, you're right. Oh,
But at this point, it doesn't
Oh,
even
right.
feel.
What am I
dude,
saying?
It's
What
so
am I
criminal,
saying?
man. We are
No.
all gassed up on the Leviathan cope. Like we're actually
me.
coping so
no, actually,
hard.
fuck it. I go hard with this. This goes.
This is
fucking
the
hard.
most
No, this is
NA cope.
crazy.
Bro, this is literally...
This is crazy.
This is huge NA copium.
What do you mean?
Okay, whoa. Let's start here. Let's start here. Do we feel like Leviathan were playing worse Valorant than EG and 100 Thieves when they lost to them?
Yeah, they were
Like-
cheating.
Probably not.
Like, Jesus Christ. Like, do you think over the course of the series,
Yes.
EG played the better game against Leviathan?
Well, I don't think 100 Thieves against 100 Thieves. I think EG
yeah.
played the better game overall and over the
100
course of the
Thieves,
series.
I'd
Yeah.
edge Leviatán. But against EG, I think EG deserved to win.
So is that the rubric then? Is that
I feel like
So
feel
do
like
100
it kinda
Thieves go to
should be,
8?
right? Like 100 Thieves have been playing kind of like some cheeks,
yeah? 100 Thieves should not be here.
but
Put EG
they
in
did
5.
win over Leviathan, and their Lotus actually looked fairly decent. I feel
This is
like.
impossible.
But even then, it
Actually,
should
I'm
probably-
stun locked, bro. I'm
yeah,
stun
it's
locked.
crazy.
What
Who
do
gets
we
the
do?
5th spot? No one deserves it.
Can we
Yeah.
just take it to Twitter?
Put them all
Wait,
in
mate.
6.
Maybe we don't put anybody in the 5th slot and we just kick a team out.
Dude, it's still not gonna.
just MIBR kick back down into
It
Ascension.
still doesn't help us. It still doesn't help us, man.
It kind of fits thematically, but no, it doesn't really. I mean,
This is correct.
dude,
They're
what do you
all not
go
making
for
playoffs.
here? Okay,
I actually don't know how to put
Holy
these teams
shit.
5, 6, 7.
yeah, I
It's very hard.
I like this.
5, 6,
okay.
7,
Well,
8 is
well,
so hard.
let's start thinking about where we would predict stuff. Like,
Those 4 teams
we
are in
would
at
ha-
their own tier, right? Those 4 teams?
yeah,
Yeah.
probably.
What do you think?
Yeah,
But
because
I
they
mean,
feel like
actually,
teams that could show up on a given
Man,
day.
Crew
I
has
think-
been
no,
playing some
they're-
of those teams close. Like,
yeah, no,
I think
there's
they're in
no
the same tier as Crew.
anymore after this until maybe MIBR. After
MIBR
NRG.
are in their own.
Yeah.
Shit tier.
Between NRG and everybody else, I don't think there's a no. Even like I think After
I don't think
Loud,
NRG, the way
all
they
these
currently
teams
play.
are within the same.
Really? You think NRG is in the same tier as like
Sean, I'm gonna have to do this argument again. It's just that sure,
NRG?
NRG,
It's not true.
but the argument, NRG is the best of those teams. Okay, all right. But a team below them obviously is going to be able to compete with NRG. Maybe even a team below that. So FURIA, so whoever the fuck we end up putting,
I don't.
they'll be able to compete with NRG. Surely.
Surely, right?
No, I'm just saying, like it's a more level game. It's not stomps. It's a more level game, and probably
when
they can
NRG
take series off.
right, I'm gonna argue for the tier break between NRG and their own little tier, because when NRG stomp Furia next week, and I would still have Furia 4th, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I think. But I'm happy. Go, you're a regular. You go for it.
I might be able to make it to be happy with that argument, but everybody else, like, even if the top of that tier gap is like really good and definitely deserve to be up there, there's still possibilities of the team who's right below them of getting lost to the last team in that tier break. You know what I mean?
So I think like if the top tier plays the bottom tier, they may win like 9 out of 10 times, and if the tier below that plays the bottom teams, they might win like 7. And then when you go below that tier, it's like 50-50 coin flips, right? And that's how I think it's working. Like, I don't think that they would win every time, but I think maybe like 70% of the time, I would favor NRG against those other 4 teams. And that's enough for me to put a tier break.
Okay, before we even get started with tier breaks, we need to put the teams in positions, though, man. Right, so...
Yeah, what are we talking about? We need to
put these teams somewhere, man.
Yeah, I'm putting that
Furia
there.
4, that's fine. 5 through 8. Who's
Guys,
the worst team?
It's
100 Thieves.
No.
Ooh. I don't know.
I think we put
dude, with
Sentinels, 100
honestly,
Sentinels, Leviatán, EG, and then 100 Thieves.
You think Sentinels are the 5th best?
Look, I'm biased as fuck, like obviously, but I'm looking at 100 Thieves' schedule, and they lost the Sentinels, Cloud9, NRG, and their wins are against Leviatán, Crew, and EG. So they should be above Leviatán and EG, right? But then
that was
all that
shitty EG. That was when EG were playing a lot worse.
BCJ
EG have
getting
had
subbed out on Icebox type thing.
EG are definitely playing better than when they played against them. What was that? Week 1, week 2, week 2. So, oh my god,
I think Sentinels. To me, Sentinels can't be 5th either. Like they in their last 5 games, they've lost 4, and their 1 win was against MIBR.
Yeah.
To me, that's like.
I'm not gonna lie. It might be EG in 5th, guys.
That's actually, that's. Can't, right? Surely.
I know that seems absolutely bonkers, but
You're all coming around to this EG pick over Sentinels.
Dude, it's this. Yeah. Our rankings are the cardinal sin against complex and nuanced thought. It is stupid.
No.
It's a bad format.
No.
I think you just get a random
Is this
number
correct,
generator
or do you want me
just...
to make it back? Put your back.
This is awful. This is so terrible. It's like a paradox. I don't know what to do right now.
Hold on. We can figure this out.
Can we just, we could just put them all in joint 8.
No. Just do this based off. Just ignore scores, ignore games, ignore any of that. Do it off of your feeling about how much you love watching the team. And like, okay, not about clout, nothing like that. Just like pure thinking man's Valorant. You know what I mean?
You said the thing.
Right.
Just strategy and firepower and that sort of thing. Okay, do it like that.
Look, I know this is crazy, but I'm putting Leviatán at 5 in my head right now.
Yeah, same.
Yeah.
So am I, but that's cope. It's
actually
so obvious cope.
They don't deserve it. They really don't. They just lost the EG and 100 Thieves, but I feel like I have to put them there. I don't know why I feel like I have to put them there.
Same.
Because they play good Valorant, but they still lose.
It's just they can play all the maps. They can have some strats. They have some good players. They have a good coach. I gotta put them there. I don't know. I just have to put them there.
It's EG. Okay. Let me sell you on EG. Okay, forget that they're called EG. Let's call them Egg Gaming. Okay, they're called Egg.
Okay.
Right, this brand new team comes onto the scene called Egg. They start slow. People don't really believe in them, and they get their win over Crew, the team at the bottom. Okay, that starts to build some confidence. Then they play against the fourth best team, Crew, FURIA. They win a map against FURIA. It looks really promising. In fact, they went OT loss against them in the first map, so they probably should have won 2-0 against the fourth best team. And you're starting to think, oh, these Egg guys are pretty decent. But they go up against Loud next week. That's the best team in the league, so they're not going to do anything. They come out with a 13-3 masterclass. Fantastic anti-stratting. You're like, oh my god, they're going to do it. Haven, unfortunately, they lose 13-10, and we don't speak about the third map.
Yeah, I was wondering where you were gonna go with the third part.
We don't speak about the third map. We don't speak about it.
They almost 2-0'd them. Yeah, it's crazy.
Then they come out with a win against one of the best teams. Like, they nearly they actually were a fraction away from 2-0ing FURIA. Then they had an extremely respectable result against the best team in the league. And then they beat Leviatán, who you're trying to put in 5th. Like, they've been neck and neck against these teams through.
Egg Gaming is kind of crazy. I'm not gonna lie.
Egg Gaming is crazy,
Egg
right?
Gaming is kind of crazy.
All you have to do is remove the branding of EG, and suddenly Egg Gaming looks like a great team.
So I'm there with you. Obviously, I picked them to win against Sentinels, so I don't need any convincing.
They're not winning against Sentinels, by the way. They're still losing to Sentinels.
But if Egg Gaming beats Sentinels, they play MIBR next week.
Yeah, they're chilling.
They're making playoffs, and this 5th seed, it's looking real at that point. No?
Yeah.
Yo.
Egg
But
Gaming.
what I'm saying is, I really don't feel like Sentinels have demonstrated enough to put them above EG based on what they've done so far. I'm still going to pred them in the game because I think that EG have looked mighty shaky. When they're bad, they just look like they fall completely to pieces. And I think a lot of their results are based off having extremely good game plans that I think Sentinels are just going to be a bit too loose for them. But that's more of a matchup thing than anything. Like, I think EG have been playing better Valorant than Sentinels over the last couple of weeks.
Ship it.
I agree. Ship it.
Ship it.
I'm down.
Have Sentinels been better than Leviatán?
No.
Have 100 Thieves been better than Leviatán?
No.
I don't know.
The Leviatán cope is still very strong out here.
Yeah, it is.
It's,
It is
it's,
very-
it's way
But
too
they're not
strong.
top 3. But they're not top 3. Okay, so like nobody cares.
Okay.
Leviatán
Is this
beat
where we're
NRG.
leaving this, by the way? Is it the people
Yeah.
are going to look at this and mold out of their fucking minds?
That's good.
We
We
have
got Cloud9
we have,
and 1.
we have Cloud9 at number 1 above the undefeated team in Americas. And then we have NRG, a team that might not make playoffs, in 3rd. We have EG in 5th. I mean, this is the most gooped up, but possibly correct power ranking we've
Yeah,
ever
imagine
done.
if it goes right, though. We're going to look like geniuses.
It
Evil
literally
geniuses.
can't go right because Cloud9, like, Loud would have to lose a lot of games in order for Cloud9 to...
No, but what if
Loud would have
Cloud9
to-
wins?
Loud would have to
They
win
could
2
win. They
games.
could win playoffs. They could win.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
if Cloud9 could get the 1 seed in Americas, we're going to be flying high.
That's going to be insane. Bro, imagine if it plays out this way. Oh
Just
my
imagine.
god.
Just imagine,
Horrendous.
because it probably won't. Just imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But imagine if it does, and EG makes playoffs, and Sentinels and 100 Thieves don't. Oh my god.
Viewership down.
Okay, let's move on to another region then, because we have talked just forever about Americas, but I mean, it was
The
fun.
EU
It was
games are
fun.
starting like right now.
Yeah. EU begins currently with Fnatic playing against Vitality. And Vitality have been on a bit of a downswing, but it's Fnatic that I want to talk about. I feel like every time I tune into a Fnatic game, I'm just like, I know in my bones they're going to win. Like, I just have it on like almost a second monitor kind of setup where I'm like, I know this game's not going to be interesting. I know they're going to slaughter their opposition. I had Durka in my chat while I was doing a co-stream of the Karmine Corp game, and he said that they are going for, I think he said 2nd or maybe even 3rd undefeated streak in like playing
Oh,
domestically.
yeah. They didn't lose in a group stage game last year, I don't think.
Do you know, TMV, whether it's like one, like it's their 2nd time or their 3rd time or something? Because he was saying it like they've done it over and over again. And I know that
last
they
year
did
they
it on the run
didn't-
into Copenhagen.
Yeah, last year I'm pretty sure they didn't lose. Because I predicted them to win both Masters tournaments off the back of the fact that they just looked so good in the group stages both times last year. Obviously, like Reykjavik was kind of, they had COVID, and so that didn't play out perfectly for them. But yeah, I remember thinking like last year's Fnatic, like in the group stages, they were just absolute demons. Then somehow they lost a game 13-0 to FPX in one of the playoffs on Split. But I mean, the question is, will Fnatic lose a series? The only way I see them losing, is they play Navi in the last week, and they'll have nothing to play for whatsoever. Maybe they put Boaster on Yoru and Durka on Brim or something, and Navi have something to play for, so Navi obviously take it seriously. Fnatic don't take it so seriously, and that's it. But that is really the only way I see them lose.
Navi probably won't have anything to play for either. They're probably just locked second seed at that point, right?
Probably.
Potentially, yeah. That would be a funny game if so. Just both teams just running it down, 5 duelists or whatever.
Dude, why is it always Fnatic and FPX/Navi in the seeding game trolling each other? It's always that way. By the way, I looked it up, Josh. It's twice. They did it both times through group stages, undefeated last year.
Right. So this is them trying to get the third time.
3, yeah.
Right. And with Durka even saying that, that's like a narrative that we would come up with for the casting or for the desk or something.
But
if the players... No, I don't mean that. But what I mean is, if the players are invested into it, it probably means that game, that seeding game or whatever, won't be a troll. Like, if Durka cares about it, Durka's going to win that game.
Yeah, in my opinion, they're the best team in the world. Like, they're...
I don't think it's close.
They're so strategically deep. And the format of VCT, it's like the opposite side of the whole NRG thing. It massively favors this team because they're like the game prep like planning team that's going to have like some strats or comps that you're not ready for. So if they have a week to prep for all these games, they're going to always win these games. The only time Fnatic, like that's like the first match in a tournament for them every single week. They're just going to blast you. Like, that's when they're at their best, when they can surprise you with util and they can use, like, their insane skill with this lineup. So I think they're pretty fucking good to probably go undefeated in my eyes. Like, I don't see anyone beating them. And the only time I think that they would lose is when the tournaments go deep and their tactics start to get a little bit known and they play a team like Energy or Loud or DRX that can... compete with them mechanically and strategically.
The thing is, though, for Fnatic as well, like, if they finish in the first seed in EMEA, which is obviously likely, oh my god, that's such a the jump there. If they finish first seed, they go straight to playoffs at Tokyo. So, I mean, they wouldn't even be playing until, already pretty deep in the tournament. They might only have to play, like, 4 games if they just... Would it be 4 games? I think so. 3 games.
Yeah, it's a similar double elim bracket with 8 teams or whatever.
Like if they just went through the upper bracket to the grand final, they wouldn't even have to play that many games to get there. So I mean, they might not even get like hard anti-strat, or there might not be as many VODs as them as you might expect. Especially if like they did at Lock-In, where it was just pretty plain sailing. Route just went in 2-0s. Like they didn't even play that many maps until they played Loud. So yeah, they're just on a different planet. I think right now they're just different.
Mad respect to Foot for allowing Icebox through so we get one more hit of the Icebox bong from Fnatic before the map gets removed. But I want to see this team play Bind too. I feel like that... Do we know the maps for the Vitality game already?
Probably.
Bind is in there. Vitality have picked Bind, actually.
Vitality have picked Bind!
So we get to see Fnatic play Bind instantly. That's actually sick. I mean, as soon as this is over, go tune into that game. It'll probably be on about map 2.
Yeah,
map 2 should be
no, that game might be over by this.
I wonder how Fnatic plays that, because before in the chamber meta, they were just having Durka lock chamber. And he was doing that shit where you can like play A and B simultaneously with his TP. So it was a very different meta last time Fnatic played Bind. I'm curious what comp they run.
I think they've actually been running fairly standard stuff. They haven't really been going towards the Viper Harbor or stuff like that. Even on Lotus, they've been... I mean, it's a comp that nobody else has really touched, but it's like they're playing a lot of Fate.
I would assume they pick Fate on Bind. Yeah.
I think it'll just be double initiated, double controller, and then Durka Raze.
Yeah.
But that also puts Alpha on Viper presumably, right? Which is what he'd played before in the past on that map too. So, yeah, I think the thing is that the team is just so damn good.
Doesn't matter which you put them on.
Yeah, it's It's so easy for them. It's so free for them. Like they just are such fantastic players with a great read on the game. They're goated.
Yeah.
Nothing else to say.
Got the best initiators, probably one of the best IGLs in the world, probably one of the best coaches in the world, best duelists in the world. Like, they're just loaded with riches. Like, I don't even know what like, there's nothing bad you can say about the team. They've got a great
I want to see them lose. Like, I want to see them lose, not because I'm rooting against them, but because I want to see how they lose and how they bounce back from it. And, like, what happens when this team gets challenged and who is going to be able to bring them to that breaking point and whether they try to adapt their comps and go. Like, at the moment, it's just been plain sailing.
Forget them losing. Just be challenged. The last 3 games, 13-3, 13-6. 13-6, 13-6, 13-5, 13-5. These are not close maps. These are just, we're getting into this. I remember the icebox of Foot as well. And Foot started off pretty well in that icebox. Like, it looked like, you know, Fnatic won the pistol, and then they won the second round. And then Foot won 4 in a row. It was like, hold on. Have Foot come up with, like, a really good plan for this? And then Fnatic lost 1 of the next rounds and just won the game very easily. And it just looked like a stroll in the park. Like, yeah, there's nothing to really say other than just, they're clearly way better than pretty much everyone, I think.
The only map that they've lost, I believe, is Ascent to BBL.
Yeah. The Ascent Kings BBL.
They had a sub playing. I'm pretty sure that's when.
Yeah, they did.
Sub playing, yeah.
Yeah, that's bizarre. It really is. But I want to spend this moment just to talk a little bit about some of the best. Like, when you watch this team play, do you think they have the best players in every role? Or do you think that there are other people that you would challenge for that kind of stuff? Like, obviously, Aspas tearing apart Americas right now. If you're going to make a super team in Valorant currently, is it just Fnatic, or is there some serious discussion?
I mean, it depends exactly what you want, because, like, Boaster's playing Smokes, but is Boaster, like, you know, the best Smokes player in the world? Like, I'd say Mako is the best Smokes player in the world, but obviously then you don't have an IGL. So it kind of, you know, it depends exactly on where you want the argument, because different IGLs obviously play different roles. So that could change it, but there's probably going to be players that, like Aspas, you know, that you might say are close enough, or you might say, like, oh, FNS's mid-rounding is, you know, better than Boaster's or whatever. Like, you know, you could make little arguments, but it's close.
I'm not touching those initiators and Durka.
Yeah.
Like, Leo Chronicle and Durka aren't getting fucking touched. Like, those guys are insane.
Dude, I mean,
the way they play off of each other is unreal.
The Fnatic Vitality game is already over, by the way. Durka just aced on pistol round. It's just over.
God. Oh, it's too much.
I can't think
much.
of any replacements for any of maybe Alpha Year, which is fucking crazy on Sentinel, because like I don't really still consider him a pure Sentinel. Like, I'd maybe like go Sugetsu or less, or maybe even Buzz, but like
Bro, we are grasping. We are really
we're grasping
we're
so
grasping.
hard. I can't think of anybody I'd replace on the initiators easily. Like, not even like Kaunzin is like still
I'm gonna put
unexperienced
Xiao
to
in the
me.
same tier. I'm a big Xiao fan.
Yeah,
I'm a big Xiao believer, personally. But it's like, yeah, I wouldn't say that Xiao is clearly better than Chronicle or Leo.
Sure.
You know, that he's just in the same sort of like group to me.
Right. Let's move on from talking about one of the best teams in the world, if not the hands down best team in the world, to talk about another one of the best teams in the world. Karmine Corp. I am the #1 fan. What color is it? Blue! What color is it? Blue! This team came out and stole the win away from Koi in dramatic fashion, gorgeous fashion. They plowed them on Lotus. We'll ignore Ascent. And they dominated them in the final maps. 13-11 wasn't even close. I was in a fever dream for this one. I'm not going to lie. I was in an absolute fevered state.
it was at like what, 4 a.m. European time, like ridiculously late.
Yeah. Josh, you were asking me like why I raided you on the third map. of this game. Like, why aren't you watching Karmine Corp WIN? Like, this is the best thing ever. And it's like, you didn't have to watch Heretics versus BBL last like 5 hours, and then there'd be like 3 tech pauses in every moment there could be. But it was fun, especially Lotus. Lotus was so much fun watching it. It was like a cathartic experience, like watching them smile. Like, just seeing the coach happy and just seeing, like, them be happy. I was so happy for them. I was, like, so just joyful that they could, for everything that's happened the last month or whatever. It was just so nice to see them have a positive experience whilst playing Valorant.
Dude, Josh, you have to feel like you've at least earned at like 5% of this win, right? You've broken down so much of their fucking tape. Like, if they watched any of it, you at least earned some of that win, right? That had to feel good for you.
I mean, the thing is, though, I had so little tape of them playing serious compositions at all that
wait, I don't have matches.
Well, no, but that's what I mean. Their matches, they were playing some ass comps. And like, the number one thing to change is stop playing the garbage. Come on, stop playing the garbage comps. And then there's all the other stuff on the side. But man, just putting their assistant coach onto IGL. What a fucking chad this dude is. Name me another assistant coach that could do this. I mean, maybe like Cupid with Cloud9 if Rooney fell ill or something. But like, who the fuck else is coming in on assistant coach and making their team look so much better? It's crazy.
It's actually insane.
I mean, props to him, yeah, but you're getting an actual IGL. That's what's happening right now. Like,
is he an actual IGL though? Does he have any former IGL experience?
Doesn't matter. Like I said, you could put anybody on IGL and you're going to improve the team. Anybody other than Scream and you're going to improve the team. That's what I said.
Yeah, it is.
But props. I mean, he's actually like holding his own low-key. Like, I mean, unfortunately, Koyer
I love how amped up he gets, though. I love how passionate he gets when they win.
Never played on a stage, bro.
I know, but it's just cool to see. It's just nice to see these people, live out their dreams, Ball. I'm sorry that I'm being positive.
Yeah,
you don't have to,
It's true. I was just about to shit on Koy, so yeah, let me not do that.
I would love for K-Corp to just like get a couple more wins, sneak into playoffs.
Oh, imagine.
It's possible,
and
bro.
then just bring New Zero back. Just bring him back. just to make Josh just go fucking crazy.
I go ballistic, man. I go absolutely ballistic. They put out an announcement. Scream's learned a lot from Zysh and will now be IGLing for the future. I mean, what is their path to playoffs? You said it's possible.
It's possible.
How?
If they beat Foot tomorrow.
I don't think it's possible.
If they beat Foot tomorrow, they have 2 tough games, but it's already low-key, like, already possible because it just matters what else happens. Like, and Foot has tough games, if I remember correctly.
Dude,
I mean, they play Fnatic still. They play Fnatic still.
Yeah, Karmine they're playing Fnatic still, but, like, that's what I'm saying. If they beat Foot, then all of a sudden there's possibilities out there, multiple scenarios, because of the way that Foot's schedule continues to be. And Foot is 3-3 right now, so Karmine would basically end up being 3-4, and Vitality is also going to be 3-4. And what's Giants? Giants is going to be okay the rest of the time.
Kind of possible, huh?
There's going to be a 3-way tie.
I wouldn't worry
here.
about Giants. Giants
is fine. Giants is fine. I'm saying there's going to be a 3-way tie here between, maybe 4-way, between Foot, Vitality, BBL, and Karmine if they beat Foot.
Right, but
there you go.
So if they beat Foot, they have the winner's tiebreaker over 2 out of 3 of those teams.
Yeah, the problem is if it comes down to like a massive tiebreaker, obviously, because they lost so heavily earlier on, like if it comes down to those tiebreakers, as we see Barbar screaming, oh my god.
Dude, I feel bad for Barbar though, because his team has just exploded. Like, his team has gone from looking like they've got some high highs, Starzone Shados having life games, like looking like they were back at their absolute peak, beating Na'Vi. Sure, while Na'Vi were in a slump, but it gave you some hope that this team might be able to do something moving further. Since then, they've just gone down the shitter.
I'm surprised he cares anymore.
I mean, they've won 1 map since beating Na'Vi.
I mean, that Na'Vi game.
And that was against Karmine.
Weird, though. That Na'Vi game, they did so many plays on that Lotus game. Like, Sarso was just TPing everywhere on Omen. Like is this can they replicate this?
I mean, shows how bad Navi's Lotus was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That they lost to Koi, who have since lost 13-1, and then got 13-6, and it wasn't that close against Karmine either.
It feels bad as well for not just Barbar, but all of the like Ibai and Kamito have this long-term rivalry. The two influencers that have like started these massive organizations between Spain, within Spain and France, and you can't be looking at that rivalry a couple of weeks ago and thinking anything but this being a solid, easy dub for Ibai to just take home to his hundreds of thousands of French viewers, and instead it was just tragic. Did you see the reactions from both of them?
No,
It was
I saw
unbelievable.
Ibai just freaking out in Spanish and smashing the
He threw his
watch
headset
party.
across the room.
oh,
He was like at the
Dude,
arena
proper
and just
man.
like smashed the watch party setup.
that's content. I'm gonna go back and look at that.
Yeah. And then Kamito was worried about falling off the balcony. He was like, we can't celebrate like this, bro. We're gonna fall.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was crazy.
Dude, this game was the last game was insane. How many ecos in a row were they? It was just back and forth. Eco for Karmine, eco for Koi, eco for Karmine. Like literally in the second half of the second half too. It wasn't like early on, like after losing pistol or anything like that. It was late in the game, just back and forth, ridiculous rounds, just full scrap. I mean, Karmine are crazy for winning that game. I don't know how I'd lose my mind playing that. I'm not gonna lie.
They were hungry for the dub. Very hungry.
I'd lose my mind.
Let's move on to Team Liquid then, who have been improving their form to the point where it now looks really good. This recent win over Giants is pretty massive for them. It puts them probably into the third spot. I think TMV, weren't you on the show when we were talking about this? Was that last week?
Yeah, to me, Giants, to me, like the top of EMEA, like you were kind of saying, like with the America's Power rankings being all over the place. Top of EMEA to me is pretty set. Like Fnatic are 1, Navi are 2. Maybe you'd have some doubts over Navi versus Liquid, but they actually play each other, so that will all come clear as well. And then to me, Giants are a clear 4. And then you've kind of got the rest where, you know, maybe we'll see and you could have a bit of debate. But the top 4 to me are pretty solid. And I think Liquid, by beating Giants, and I did pick Giants to win that game, but, you know, Liquid came out and won. So, I mean, yeah, 4-2, they're chilling. They're going to be fine. They'll make playoffs. Maybe if they beat Navi, they could even get into the top 2 if all goes well. But yeah, they should be fine. And talk about games that were like ecos back and forth. The first map on Ascent of this game was just literally like you don't ever get that pattern on like a on like a Valorant game where it just goes zigzag like that. But that was the start of this Ascent game. It was kind of a crazy start. Yeah, look at that. The first couple of rounds just eco.
If you go to the economy tab that's above this, you'll be able to see it. Like the team that doesn't buy is just winning the game.
Yeah, it's kind of
I felt like
a
that game was
bizarre
really sloppy. Like I watched that game, the first part of that game, and I was thinking like, oh, I thought Liquid would look a lot more structured by now. And honestly, I walked away from that game thinking like, oh, the middle section of EMEA looks slightly worse than the middle section of VCT Americas. That was my walk away from that game. Is like, oh, it's not as structured. I honestly watch Liquid play it. I'm like, I thought it would be more structured now at this point.
Yeah, oh, sorry, you go.
No, go ahead.
Oh, well, yeah, I was going to agree with you. That, yeah, Liquid, I don't think are like, they're not playing like flawless Valorant. I mean, it depends what you count as the middle structure of the regions, I guess, because as we said, like the middle of Americas, that kind of pack of 14s is kind of all over the place. But yeah, this kind of like upper middle, you might say. Yeah, I agree. Like, Giants on their day, I think, are a good team. Like, if Giants come in with a good game plan and they know what they're doing and they play well, I think they have a couple players who, you know, have good, like Hoodie, I think, and Fatinho are players where, you know, one week they'll play really well and like, you know, Giants will win and, you know, everything looks good. And then maybe the next week they, you know, have a couple players where I think even Nookie, I think, has had some performances where, you know, he hasn't looked as good. Basically, it's only Cloud that I think has been like crazy, and Cloud has been crazy good for pretty much the whole time. But yeah, it's good for Team Liquid. I still think they are a bit reliant maybe on Safe sometimes, you know. Just Safe is playing out of his mind.
He's been crazy.
Yeah.
He's been ridiculous.
I just feel like
Like
they're
you
relying on skill. Like they have
Yeah.
so much skill and they rely on it so much
Yeah.
when I watch them.
But also, this
not the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, it's
It just increases a lot of your variance.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
yeah.
I think if you watch this map though, particularly, you would have come away with that conclusion a lot more because Giants is running the no Sentinel double controller, which Nats was abusing like crazy and just causing chaos. Like on that first half particularly, Nats was getting up mid, like getting through spawn, like just constantly finding flanks on them, and it got short up towards the second half of the first half. But I mean, you're mostly right though about Giants. And Team Liquid rely on the fluidity because that's just kind of how they've gotten themselves out of this rut is allowing Safe to call some wild, fast audibles. And they found the balance, I feel like, between Redgar and what he wants to do and Safe too. And Redgar's finding timings all over the place. They have 3 players who are essentially making crazy good, like, mid-round hole calls.
It's really interesting that over the course of Valorant, usually the EMEA teams have been the very structured ones. And it's been North America that's been a little looser. And then obviously you have, you know, some of the Pacific teams are just absolutely nuts. You know, incorporating the really loose stuff. Yeah, incorporating the really loose stuff or being hyper strict like with DRX or some of the set stuff that PRX have done in the past as well. It looks really loose, but it's actually really set. But anyway, my point being that that's been the traditional paradigm. And actually we're here where apart from Fnatic, who still do play with a lot of structure to their game, Na'Vi have been pretty sloppy this group stage. Maybe they'll end up tightening things up a lot more towards Tokyo, but certainly Giants and Team Liquid are both really kind of puggy teams, and way more than the Americas teams. Like the Americas teams are now very overly structured, some of them, to the point where it's actually hurting them.
Yeah, we had that whole section on Leviatán for sure.
Exactly.
Which is crazy because a lot of time teams back in the day, I was saying they're just complete puggy. You know, they're like OG Sentinels.
Like the round we just saw, I think it was the second round of this game where Nats flank spawn and just ghost that guy in the side of the head as the opener. I feel like I would never see that in VCT Americas. Like a Cypher opening things up by pushing through mid and getting an opener on like a no Sentinel comp. Like that's just like an individual play that I wouldn't see in VCT Americas right now. I feel like at the upper echelon of the league, maybe to an extent we saw that like less when he played EG on Pearl.
Yes,
that's about
he was
it.
doing that. Yeah,
yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Marv
Actually,
too,
Lex
though.
went all the way through.
That's like
into
the
Spawn.
only time I've seen that. Yeah.
Even Marv against Loud was finding some nasty shit like that. Though.
Yeah. I don't know. That's like
Yeah,
that's
Marv
like a
does
pretty
an
rare
individual.
style, I think, that you see in Americas. I like it personally, but I haven't seen the super structured style out of Liquid, so it makes me think that they feel a little bit more one-dimensional.
Yeah,
Well,
I think there's been a
the
complete
game coming up
upheaval.
is going to be huge.
Yeah, big game coming up for them.
Sorry, go on, Bala.
I was just gonna say like it's an upheaval of what you expected out of Team Liquid because Redgar's the IGL, right? So like I fully expected like full Gambit-esque, like drill, just rely on protocols. So it makes sense that it feels weird, but I think it's working, so they need to continue doing it. But it's not going to be a long-term strategy for Liquid, I feel like.
Safe did say coming into this year that he was going to, moving into the duelist role, try and incorporate his vision of how to play the game and meld it with Redgar's. And I feel like a lot of the looseness is just empowering Safe to an unbelievable level. Like he is loving being in this kind of system.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. And doing it all from primary duelist, like hard fragging. And it's not like some set execs where he's supposed to go in and has tons of utility. It's just him playing fucking crazy, like playing hyper ranked Valorant.
4 of the top 5 are Fnatic, by the way. Just point that out.
Dude, Dirk has 182 ace or ADR. What is that?
Yeah, that's ludicrous.
Oh,
That is
hurts.
absolutely ludicrous.
It's crazy. And he
I
just
saw
got
some
a
people-
he just got a second ace in this game, by the way.
Yeah, well,
Of
now that'll
course he
pad the
did.
stats even higher. He's got to overtake Save. Let's get on to some predictions then. We've got 3 big games this week. I mean, Yeah, just before we even get into the Preds, do you want to bother predicting the Fnatic Vitality game? Is it already over?
It's actually 5-4. Vitality
It's
has 4
5-4, yeah.
rounds.
Okay.
On defense?
All right. I don't have it on my second monitor. We'll have to tune in afterwards. I
Don't
am
worry
really
about it.
interested in what they do on
Fnatic will win.
Bind. Yeah, they will. Okay, so the first game coming up this week that's really interesting is Foot against Karmine Corp. Who gets the win? Do Karmine Corp go forwards?
Oh, what? Come
Wow.
on, Josh. Come on, Josh.
What
I was
happened, number
relying
one's
on you.
fan, bro? Come on, man. This is pathetic.
I was relying on you.
Yeah.
Last time, was it last week when I said like, oh, Koi are gonna win if you put a gun to my head, and you said if you put a gun to my head, I'm gonna die happy. Fan.
Yeah,
I was
okay.
hoping for the same.
You know what? Fuck it, you're right. Fuck it, no. Kurt, change the pred. How could I ever vote against Karmine Corp? That's so stupid of me. That's so stupid and stupid of me. I think
the
Foot
tech
are a
is
good
there.
team, though. I think Foot are a good team.
You
They're-
are really
they're-
drinking the Kool-Aid at this
They're
point.
better than Karmine.
Foot are just
better
literally
than
a better
Karmine Corp.
team than Karmine Corp.
Yeah, they are definitely a better team than Karmine Corp. However, they do have some. Like, I watch Foot play some maps, and this has been throughout the whole. Even some maps that they won sometimes. I was watching them, and you. I don't know. I don't like the way that they approach certain maps. I guess like on like some Ascent games, not so much recently, but particularly like early on. I don't know why. There was Ascent versus Team Liquid where they just like would start the rounds basically like back in Boathouse on B and like super push back on A, and it was just like Team Liquid, go where you want. You know, take whatever space you want, go where you want. And I don't know if that was, and then I saw that kind of play out on some other maps as well, and they fixed parts of it. But Foot, I think, I mean, they lost 2-0 to Giants and they lost 2-0 to Fnatic, and I mean the split was close with Giants. But if I remember rightly, Giants got off to a big lead, and then it felt like they just couldn't close out the map for some reason. Yeah, it was like 10-4 to Giants, and then they just like slowly Foot like clawed back at it. And made it look a bit more respectable than I think it was, because I think Giants should have just won that game pretty comfortably. So I think Foot are on a bit of a downturn, but yeah, this pick is just it's nonsensical. But I mean, I'm 1-0 picking Karmine Corp, and that's a that's a feat.
Oh, you did pick them last time. You did,
Yeah.
didn't you? Yeah.
Oh, so I mean, if they keep winning,
They ain't winning this game. I say this as the number one Karmine Corp fan. They ain't winning this game.
Nah, they're
Foot
not
are a better
winning.
team on Lotus. Foot are a better team on Ascent. And Karmine Corp, where do they go to get their victories here? It just doesn't make sense. I don't know. I am going to believe in them for the sake of believing in them,
yeah.
but I don't believe in them.
I think that Giants game, by the way, the 0-2 against Giants, because you look at Foot's schedule, they only really lost, like you said, to Giants and Fnatic. That Giants game, wasn't that the game where Fnatic was supposed to play the early game that week, but they canceled that game, so they pushed the Foot game ahead? I swear,
Possibly,
it didn't
yeah.
look like Foot was ready to play that game that day. Like they didn't look, they didn't look like the same
Yeah.
team that
They
week.
didn't turn up
compared-
for the first map, that's for sure.
Yeah, it
on
looked like
Xbox, yeah.
they weren't warmed up or something in that game. And I swear that was the day the schedule got
was.
fucked up.
It was.
Also,
possible.
it was on 420. I mean, I'm not saying anything, but like,
Right.
that's a weird fucking day. I'm omitting those results from my mind. I'm just gonna say that. Foot, there's no way Foot loses this game.
Okay. All right, let's move on to the next one then. It's a battle at the bottom. It's Koi playing against BBL.
Why is this on here?
This is a close game, I think.
This actually matters too.
Wow, I'm actually the
If he doesn't
sole
win,
Koi
BBL will
believer
win.
at this point.
Wait, this is actually crazy. I thought everybody was going to go for Koi.
No, bro.
Have
I'm
you
going
seen
for Koi?
No,
BBL
Koi's-
are ascending. Koi are
Yeah.
hitting rock bottom.
Yeah.
Koi are in tragic form currently.
This is the bounce back game though. and I was gonna say I feel like they've played really tough opponents, but I can't say that
Karmine
necessarily.
Corp.
I cannot say that, can I? Okay. This is just a bounce back game. I have faith. The players on Koi are just too good.
I just feel like they're giving up. I'm surprised Barbar is even trying anymore. This team's like, I don't know. They're just imploding. There's something about them. They looked so insane in the first two series that they had a lot of good ideas, and now it's just there's no good ideas. They're trying things and people are just not even going for the strat. Like,
I mean,
that's the level that they're playing at right now.
I think that they could win this game. I think that they could win this game though. I just remember, I was like, who did BBL play last week that they won? They played Team Heretics in that game that lasted about like a million hours or whatever.
Yeah.
I
It was
literally
painful.
during Icebox there was so much going on. I literally put on Pingu during my stream because that's the way this game was. You know how they talk in Pingu where it's like blah, 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 like that? I literally put that on my stream because that's how to explain that Icebox game between BBL and Heretics. Even though BBL stomped, by the way, but that's how that game was. It was just Pingu talk.
Is Pingu going over the head of the American people in this call?
Yes, I don't know what.
You
the
don't know
hell
what
you're
Pingu
talking
is?
The penguin that's
Oh,
like
this
made
is
out
like
of
Wallace
clay.
of Gromit, basically.
Yeah.
Wallace of Gromit.
Wallace and Gromit, bro. What are you saying?
Right. I thought you had a dude.
You don't have
Pingu.
I've
You
never
missed
seen
out
this
on
in
your
my life.
childhood if you didn't have Pingu.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know
What?
what it is.
It's just
Anyway,
claymation. It's
it's
golden
like a little
claymation.
clay penguin, and they speak like this. They go blah, 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 like that.
I recognize it. Okay, I kind of.
Okay. I watched
And
that episode.
that's how I would explain that game. Yeah, you didn't see the Pingu meme there. That picture of. Have you never seen that? That's crazy. Anyway, yeah, that one. That one you're hovering over, Kurt. Yeah.
I've never seen
Pingu
that.
staring. Anyway, yeah, back to the game. Could go either way was my point because BBL aren't some crazy team. Even though they won last week, that they could easily lose this game.
Okay, let's move things along. Let's go to the game that really is the game of the week. It's Na'Vi playing against Liquid. It's the second team playing against the third team. It's a serious chance, and everyone's gone with Na'Vi.
Oh.
I feel like I don't want to root against Na'Vi, even though they haven't been playing that great at Valorant. It's not root against. Sorry, I don't want to like.
Yeah,
Right against.
pick against.
I don't want to pick against them because I know at any point they can just turn it on. I really, truly believe at any point they can just turn it on, and they'll be, not quite at the level of Fnatic, but clearly the second best team.
I just think that the structure for Navi is too strong to handle. I mean, it's just way too strong, and Team Liquid are not going to be able to like get the things that they want to do and get the things that they will try to do. I honestly think it's going to be a stomp, unfortunately. Even though Team Liquid's kind of good.
I kind of agree
yeah.
with Bola. I think Angel is going to have like a lot of tells because Liquid isn't strategically deep, and he can read the game really well in the mid round. And I think Navi is heavily favored in this matchup because of that.
I think safe is probably Liquid's like hope, right? If you're a Team Liquid fan, like hoping to win this game, you're basically pinning it on safe is just gonna, have like another insane game where he goes in and maybe it shouldn't necessarily work, but he gets 2 kills anyway, and that gets Liquid enough round. Or Nats goes hero play like he has done in some of these rounds as well. That I feel like is probably Team Liquid's best chance to win. But yeah, I think Navi. I think as the format goes on, it kind of favors Navi. I think Navi are probably a good team that, with more VODs of like, taking a look at what people are doing and being able to anti-strat it and stuff. I think I'm not surprised that we all went with Navi. Let's put it that way.
Also, Yoru on Fracture is actually going to be good against Team Liquid. Gets past
Why?
the trips.
Oh, right. Genius. Do you think they're actually going to run that?
Fuck it, dude.
Am I
If
running
it's map
again?
2, yeah,
Fuck it, dude.
They might run
Okay,
again.
great. If they come in with a fuck it, dude attitude, that's what I
will.
was desperately hoping that they would do against Karmine Corp, by the way. I really, really wanted Na'Vi to lose against Karmine Corp by having a fuck it attitude. I think they're done with the fuck it attitude. I think that's stopped.
It would be
now.
very Angel as well to be like, Team Liquid has prepared for this Yoru. We're not playing Yoru. We're not going to play
Wait,
Yoru.
I
We're
didn't
gonna
even
play
watch this week's Navi game. They did play Yoru against Foot Tower.
Yeah, they did
Yeah,
again.
I didn't realize. So yeah, it's not even
Yeah,
a
they played
fucking
it twice
It's
now.
just the real comp.
Yeah, but I mean, when you talk about real comps with Na'Vi, it loses a bit of its relevancy because they do just play. Out of any team in the world, they probably play the most different comps per map, or at
Yeah.
least they try the most.
Yeah.
They've really like bought into that aspect of it. All right, let's touch on Pacific region then. Let's go over to the Pacific division just for a bit because I want to check in with Dr. X. Now, Dr. X has been doing very well. Dr. X has been doing as well as Loud and as well as Fnatic, but I don't know whether Dr. X is quite as good as those teams. So I want a two-pronged question here. Do you think Dr. X is going to lose to anybody in Pacific? And do you think that they're at the same level as the other undefeated teams in the other regions?
I would say their chances of losing, I think, are
It's impossible.
mostly gone. Like, they played Detonation next. If they lost against Detonation, that would genuinely be the biggest upset that's ever happened in any sport ever. Then they play Team Secret T1. Team Secret look like they're on a bit of a downturn. T1 are just an absolute coin flip of a team where some weeks they look good and then other weeks they look awful. But against any decent team, T1 has looked awful so far. So, and that's a Korean on Korean thing. So I don't think I think DRX will be like, we're not going to lose to a Korean team. Like, you know, I think that would be a source of pride for them. So yeah, I don't see them losing. In my mind, the way that this goes, I think DRX are probably where about Loud are now. I think Fnatic are I honestly think Fnatic are like, from what we've seen so far, are above those two, even though they're all undefeated. But yeah, I think DRX and Loud, yeah, pretty close.
Yeah, I'd say it's 50-50 between DRX and Loud right now, in my mind. I actually think the DRX with Foxy9 is a lot better than they were at Lock-In. But they haven't really shown like full potential yet in Pacific, and they're losing maps to RRQ, who, by the way, looked insane in that game, and stuff like that. So just stomping on the real competition of Gen.G and whatever. So I'm not concerned about them losing a map. I think they are slightly worse than Fnatic. By slightly, I mean a significant gap. I don't know what else.
I agree.
They just don't get challenged at all in regional games.
This Foxy9 version of DRX looks a lot more like execute focused than the previous versions of DRX.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like
that could be Stacks though, because Stacks is the IGL. I think
because but Stacks has IGL'd in the past as well.
Yeah,
like,
but they've had those swings before.
I
thought when Stacks was the IGL, they were more focused on that kind of thing, and then Zest would IGL, and then they would be kind of less, you know, all in on a strat, and then now Stacks is IGLing again. I feel like that could be part of it, but I also do think I kind of agree that Foxy9 could be the missing link for DRX. Like, you know, getting past like
crazy good.
Yeah, they got past like that 5th, 6th stage, and then they moved to 3rd, 4th. And then this Foxy9 change could be maybe the change that gets them past 3rd, 4th, and maybe, you know, gets them to 1, 2. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, because yeah, he is a really, really good player.
I haven't kept up with Pacific too much. I've only caught like a couple of their games, but yeah, I think they're gonna look a lot more strategically diverse with Foxy9 in their lineup. And I think the fact that they look more structured now bodes well for their future, right? Because what they're doing is they're having the base be made right now. Like, this is the base that you run by, right? Like how you play in structured Valorant. This is how you're going to space off of each other, how you're going to trade off each other. And then from there, you can start to get a little bit more loose and let players have more freedoms because they know where they can go in the system. So I'm like pretty optimistic about DRX. I think they're pretty locked in as the top 3 team in the world with like Loud and Fnatic. I don't think I would put them above those 2 teams though right now. But I think there's certainly a chance they beat them, especially early in tournaments for DRX.
Early in tournaments are insane. On the structure topic, one of the things that you see actually is later in tournaments, they get looser and looser. And that's because they're playing against teams that the structured stuff is not going to fully like go the distance against. And that actually costed them at Lock-In in my mind on Pearl against Cloud9 and against Loud as well. Just like fully sending down Belong every time, which is hilarious now because that's like what we want teams to do if they want to win the map. But I thought that was hella troll, and they didn't adapt fast enough on that map.
You have to remember though, for DRX, like before it was APAC that got kind of the slot to go deeper in the tournament and not DRX. Yeah. They always had to play in the group stages, whereas this time, assuming they finish first, which they probably will, you know, they will get that bye where they'll have to play less games again. So, you know, by the time that they actually start playing in the tournament, if they get the first seed, you know, maybe again, like maybe they only have to play like 4 games and you win. Well done. You know, tournament over. We played 4 games, and you know, maybe that'll help them. I think that honestly will help them because they did always seem to like start a tournament really, really strong, and then like, you know, slowly kind of fade.
It also means that they get less experience against other teams, though, on that run, right? Like they're really just dominating a region that has little competition. I suppose you could say the same for Fnatic. I don't think you can say the same for Loud, because I think that they're really getting pushed even in their wins. But for Fnatic and for DRX, they are rolling the other teams. But I'm not worried about Fnatic at all, because they've already demonstrated their ability to win and their ability to iterate and come up with new things. They don't need to be like stress tested at all. But this new version of Foxy9 DRX, I think, could really value getting pushed in playoffs and losing a game and having to come back, or having their strategies tested by another really top team. Like, the second best team in this region is a Gen.G squad that we only got to see a fraction of at lock-in, and who managed to win one map off them and then couldn't really do much else on the... Well, I suppose they did look competent on the other maps too, but they didn't stress test them as much. Do you think that that's going to be an issue?
No. Because I feel like DRX, when they get punched, they don't... Like, previously, I feel like when DRX have been, like, hit and they don't know what to do, they don't know what to do. I feel like if DRX are going to go far in a tournament, it's going to be through the upper bracket. They're just going to win. And they're just going to just go the whole distance, and their strats are good enough to win, and that will be the way they kind of go forward. And maybe, you know, in Tokyo, in a more familiar setting to them as well than, you know, maybe some of these other teams, you know, less of a time difference, you know, more familiar culture than other teams will have. You know, maybe that'll benefit them as well. But yeah, I think that they'll be fine. And if they don't make last 3-4, I would be surprised personally.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. I mean, there's been questions about their like mental deep in tournaments when they play like some of the like scrappier S tier teams like Loud and they like Energy, their core. But I don't think they're ever going to get that test in the region anyway. Like I don't. They're just going to roll through the region. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The second best team that I had just talked about being Gen.G, they just had a massive upset loss this week in bizarre fashion. I mean, Meteor getting jet diffed by SkRossi, who's moved on to the jet role because Texture's now playing full-time Killjoy, was not on my bingo card. I didn't have that one in there. Like, I've been impressed with Golbal for the whole time that I've watched them, really, because I feel like they've always overperformed. Maybe not in terms of the results, but they've overperformed from what I've seen in the game compared to what I was expecting from them. I think Aaron's done a great job with this team. But since SkRossi came here with Lightning Fast and, God damn it, who are the other people that came over? It's their coach, Vatsal?
Yeah.
Oh, I guess he's the manager. Or maybe I'm missing somebody. I'm not sure. But yeah, since they've been added into the roster and they've gone through these like role swaps, they're getting results that I would not have expected. Like, I thought this team was trolling taking Texture off Jet, and it's worked.
Yeah, I mean,
they did that last week. They sub-Texture out in a game last week, like completely out, and I was like, what the fuck is this team thinking? Like, he's your best player. What are you doing putting him on the bench? And then this week they just ran full-time SkRossi Jet, Texture full-time Killjoy, and didn't mess about. Ronski's out. They like, it looked like much more of a solid idea, and they still got value from Texture while allowing Rossi to farm, and it just looked insane.
Yeah, I if they don't stick with this going forward, like just play these 5 players in these roles after being Gen.G, yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on if they don't do that, unless there's some stipulation in a contract about how much playtime everyone gets. Because yeah, it just makes more sense.
I'm concerned though, because the comps that they're playing are not very meta or good. Like,
Yeah.
they're playing single controller almost everywhere. Like, it's very there's KO every single place where you're not really seeing KO, like for example on Lotus and stuff. At least the roles are making sense, but I think they might have to continue to make some weird changes, because I don't think that this is going to find them success to get to Tokyo, and down the line too. I think they played great. They played so well together. They were so good at trading in that Gen.G game that I have to again commend Aaron for just doing so good with this team. But about the comps is where I get a little scared.
Yeah, I mean, look at the comps. I mean, even you just bring the VLR page up, but neither team is playing a meta comp on either of the maps that they play.
Yeah.
I hate that Lotus comp with the single omen. I don't know. I just feel like
yeah,
every time
not playing Viper on Lotus. Yeah, I'm not about that. But
they didn't play Viper on
I don't think
Pearl
global
either.
though. My expectation is not for them to make it to Tokyo though. I still don't think like they could make playoffs.
Yeah.
I still doubt, even with sticking with 5 players and having the roles make more sense. I still don't think they'll be like favored to make it to Tokyo. Like I still think, obviously they did beat Gen.G, who I would be a team that I think could beat Tokyo. So maybe it's possible. Who knows? But I mean, look at this clip.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but I mean, it was a good win, and they're going in the right direction, which is good.
I mean, in order for them to make it to Tokyo, they've got to finish top 3. There's 3 slots available. One of them's locked up by DRX. Nobody's challenging that. And then the other 2, I mean, at the moment, in terms of the standings, it's Gen.G and PaperX.
Yeah.
And then you've got, T1 have looked good at some points. Zeta have just been making solid improvements. Secret had like a flashy kind of at the beginning, but they're very up and down.
Secret
and then you've got Global. Those are really the teams that are in the running for it. Like, I feel like in Pacific, there's a lot of anyone can beat anyone. And if it gets to the playoff scenario, I'm not saying Gen.G or PaperX are a lock to make it through.
The thing I say with PaperX though is that they just like outside of DRX Gen.G, PaperX can literally just rely on the fact that they will out-aim everyone else. They just can. And they will. And they simply will. And they will overheat. And it annoyed me to no end that they lost the first map against Talon, because they should have easily won that map, and they literally threw away 3v1s, like 4v2s, doesn't matter. Oh, here I go swinging on my own again. Die. I mean, look at the ratings in this game. I mean, even just looking at like the ratings there, you would think like, how have they lost this game? It was bizarre. And then they just go and start, like, you talked about Bren being annoyed at EG, Josh, in a cast for wasting his time. This was PaperX wasting my time, because they should have just won this Pearl game easy, and then they won 13-4. Instead I had to stay for an extra hour, hour and a half to watch Fracture, and then they just win anyway. Wasting my time.
Talking about Bren, actually, he was playing a ranked game and he tweeted out, "Harbor on Ascent is cooking." Like he had some harbor walls that he was throwing in A main and shit. And so he tweeted out, I just put it in the chat in this thing, and he said, where is it? Have any teams experimented with Harbor on Ascent, maybe with double controller? I was cooking with some walls yesterday. And Forsaken, Jing, and Alex, the PaperX coach, all just responded with, "Okay." They just all responded with "okay."
Oh my god.
So I don't know what this means. I don't know if they're just trolling Bren. I don't know if they're about to play Harbor on Ascent. I don't know whether they think it's stupid or whether they think it's good. It's impossible to get into this team's head. Don't get it.
They're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. That's gonna be
just
so
for Bren.
Stupid. Yeah,
pull it out.
They picked Icebox because they wanted to play.
Dude, they're doing
play
it for
CGRS
sure.
on a map.
Dude, they haven't played since April 15th. That's like 2.5 weeks to cook this up. They're doing it 100%. They're doing it.
They constantly do this stuff, like where they're just like, yeah, let's just try this, and we're gonna force this map or whatever, just to do dumb stuff so that people
win anyway, because their aim is just better than the teams that they play.
Yep. Who are they playing next? Zeta, Zeta, Gen.G, okay, and RQ.
Those are tough games.
Those are tough games. Every single one of those are tough, especially
Gen.G
for
could
them
beat
too.
them. PaperX, I'm telling you now, this is a bit of a spoiler for the pick'em. PaperX are gonna PaperX play the same game every single week. I watch this team every single week. They play the exact same game, and other than Gen.G and DRX, I just don't believe that the rest of the teams have enough firepower to beat them. Jing or something will just. Oh my god, there was a clip of something. They have a Killjoy lockdown on Fracture on B, right? So PaperX are attacking. They got a Killjoy lockdown on Fracture on B, right? The one that pushes you all the way back to spawn. Something is playing Breach. He's playing Breach. You know that people have to be there in spawn. Like, there's no other place for them to be. He swings out into 4 people, gets a kill, and gets out on Breach. He's not even playing like Jet. Like, that's just what they do.
Yeah. What I'm worried about with this team, though, with Paper X, as we go on this tangent completely, is that all the other teams that have been doing their experimental phase are starting to tune back in. They're all starting to come back into the normal, and this team is going even further beyond. Like, just trying to find the wackiest shit that they can get away with.
We're
like,
so
when
close.
Do they...
We've just got to find it.
Yeah.
Just got to go a little deeper.
When do they return to normalcy? It's got to be in the next few games.
They benched their IGL. Like, Benkai, I don't... Like, something's playing Breach, so Benkai, I don't think is playing anymore. So they've literally just benched their IGL to add in someone else who just pushes everything that they can and just takes every fight that they can and normally wins.
You think they've perma-benched him just because he wasn't played in the talent game?
I mean, something's playing Breach.
Yeah, I know, but that doesn't surprise me because this team can do anything.
Yeah, but if he's playing Breach, then when are they playing Benkai?
I don't think he's played for a couple weeks, right?
I thought it was only the talent game he missed.
No, he missed. He didn't play in the. They played cigars over him, or cigarettes, or CGRS, whatever he's meant to be called. He didn't play in that game either.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that. I was looking at that game against Global, and my mind was just baffled by the amount of substitutions that I missed the fact that Benkai wasn't even playing.
I wasn't on that week, but when you guys were talking about the cigarette,
Bro,
I mean,
and how many subs there are, bro, I can't even wrap my head around this.
It's like, that's the thing. There's that many subs in this game, and Benkai isn't one of them.
Bro, so many
that's a good
flags,
point.
so many sub. Like, what is going on there? That stats page is insane.
All right, let's get into predictions then, because I think we're going to have some very interesting preds. Let's start with banger game. In theory, Zeta plays against Paper Rex. Who's got the faith in the Paper Rexes then? Shall we see?
Oh, I did submit a bread. What the fuck was I thinking, bro?
I don't remember if I did.
I think that Zeta have just been quietly getting to a comfortable position, and I'm banking everything on Paper Rex trolling this one away. I think I can't believe in Paper Rex at the moment. They're just, nothing they do makes any sense to me. I can't get a feel of where they're going or what they're doing. I just feel like they're trying to skill it and run random shit. I don't have any clue. And I think at some point it's going to trip up. And I feel like if there was a team that's going to trip them up, obviously, you know, it would be DRX or something. But I'm going to go with Zeta here because I think they play a game that's kind of stable enough to be able to deal with what Paper Rex are doing, hopefully.
No, they're just gonna. I'm telling you right now. Maybe it goes to 3 maps. I could definitely see it going to 3 maps, but Jing, Forsaken, and something will just win enough fights. Like, that's the thing. Like, if you don't have the firepower to compete with them, because like you say, what they do makes no sense. Like, how can you go into a game against a team that like just goes, I don't care. Like, they don't care what happens. How can you prepare for that? Like, it's so different to like every other team because it's like they literally do not care. But Jing, Forsaken, and something are still the best 3 aimers in the server, and that's all that matters for Paper Rex. Like, anytime Paper Rex play a team where that isn't the case, right? Like against a DRX or someone, you know, against DRX, they got destroyed, right? Because when you don't have the talent, when you don't have the talent diff, you know, then it's just like a complete stomp. But for Zeta, they've had some performances of, you know, a couple of their players have been doing pretty well recently, but I still think I can just picture Jing just like running through 3 smokes and getting like 4 kills, and then something doing the same thing next round, and you know, it's like, oh, Zeta Division, nice try, and Paper X will win.
I mean, I still subscribe to the fact that I feel like Zeta's playstyle is a good counter to, I don't know what I'm doing and I'm just rushing and W King. I think Zeta is one of the best teams to like play off of drones, and you need to just drone Paper X wherever you go, and then just hit the site, and it's okay. Yeah, I haven't really been watching Zeta that much, but I just feel it.
I feel
It's a
like
vibe.
It's a vibe.
I haven't watched a lot of
And
Pacific,
also,
but
Zeta to Tokyo, please.
yeah, that would be
Please.
pretty
Yeah.
hype if they made it.
You're just trying to manifest it.
I mean, I feel like Depp, Laz, and Sugar Zero are pretty skilled. No, I feel like they could hang in this matchup. I'm kind of going against my own pick saying this, but I think I don't know. I don't have a lot of faith in Data against Paper X in this matchup. I do want to see them in Tokyo, like Bala said.
Yeah, that ain't happening. That ain't happening.
Yeah, it's
unless
pretty,
I mean, unless they
pretty
if
rough.
they
It
win this game and they look significantly better,
It
maybe.
could happen.
It's
I think it's
a
a
big game.
possibility.
It's a
They
big
are like
game
the
for them.
only stable team other than DRX in this region. Like the
Yeah, but
only
they-
team that puts in like a normal performance.
Yeah. Let's move on to the next game then. It's RRQ playing against Global. And people might have thought that's a terrible game at the beginning of the year, but it's a hidden banger.
Oh.
No.
Oh, that's not good.
No,
That's
no,
not
no,
good.
no.
RRQ are sneaky. Bala.
I'm
Talk to
switching
me
my
about
pride.
RRQ.
I'm switching my pride. RRQ
Yeah.
looked fucking nasty, and
Uh,
y'all ain't jinxing. I mean, yeah, I'm TMVing this one against the grain. RRQ had like some insanely good executes and protocols against DRX in this last week. I know that they're kind of streaky, but it feels like they've just been getting better in that aspect. And Global, while I've hyped them up, I actually think RRQ is playing like more on the meta than the other teams do. So yeah.
RRQ, I just talked about Zaya being like the most like stable team. RRQ are the biggest variance team in the entire 3 leagues. Like, you can get one version of RRQ. What was that game?
Although
that
that's
they played?
cap. MIBR. Come on now.
Oh, well.
MIBR are like, oh, we're so fucking good. He's a god. And then they're like, I'm just getting shit on 6 maps in a row.
They need to show us the good a little bit more for us to believe
Yeah.
it's even there anymore.
True.
Yeah. Like, that game against Team Secret was genuinely like, oh my god. Like, where has this team come from? Like, if you go back and watch that game, you will literally be like, wow. Some of the things that they were doing in that game was like, this looks like, a top 10 team in the world. Like, it was unbelievable. And then they played T1 the next week, and it's like, who the hell is this team? How have they gone from like that to this in a week? It doesn't make any sense. And then, like you said, against DRX, like the first 2 maps, obviously Pearl was a stomp. Like we'll take out Pearl, but the first 2 maps, it was like, wow, this team is like good.
They beat DRX on Haven.
Yeah.
Which DRX hasn't dropped Haven since like one of
like
the
Paper Rex
like-
way back when.
yeah, like a Copenhagen game or something like that, like a long ass time.
Yeah. But that's the thing. RRQ, I picked GE because I thought, well, they played a good game, then they played a bad game, then they played a good game, so they're gonna play a bad game. The coin has flipped the other way.
Yes.
That's literally why I
Right.
picked them. Yeah.
That's genius.
Yeah.
Right,
Well, that's how
okay.
they play.
Let's move on to the next game then. It is this one's a good one too, actually. Pacifica's got some great games this week. It's Secret playing against T1.
Oh. Okay, thank
Wow.
God.
I
Thank God for Sean.
low key. I might go
just-
with Sean too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like when I've watched Secret in the past, they really impressed me. Like Jesse Vash and stuff. Like I'm impressed with this team whenever I watch them. You guys aren't impressed by them?
It's just
They're
recently for me, like, they started off really well, and it started off like with this team where it's like, yeah, this is the team that beat Liquid convincingly, and
Shit
then
on them.
yeah, like that's what it looked like early on. It was like, yeah, this is a team that's come to play, and then it feels like they've slowly. It feels like, I don't know if it's maybe they're like a game plan heavy team. I remember again in that Liquid game, it felt like they had a very like strong game plan of what they wanted to do. I don't know if it's like by this point those game plans have been seen and figured out and anti-stratted, and maybe they don't have enough like pivoting of like changing stuff up. But they also, I think they lack firepower. Like Team Secret, they've got Envy, who's a good player. Like for someone who I had never heard of before, like Envy's a good player. But then if Envy isn't fragging, they just don't have anyone that's gonna, get that 3K to win them around. When they're down in like a 4v5, it just feels like they don't have that player that can just reliably win that situation. And although T1 are a team that desperately annoy me for who they are, I just feel like they are gonna have like just enough to win this game. I could see Saya just going kind of a bit crazy on Team Secret. I think this could be his big game.
Part of the reason I went with Zeta earlier actually was because Team Secret have been trolling and like playing W gaming style, like Paper Rex and a couple of their matches. And
Yeah, that's true.
so I'm actually going to swap my pred. I'm going to swap my pred to Team Secret here because I think T1 just can't handle that playstyle.
Yeah, bro. T1's only beaten RRQ and Detonation. Come on now.
You
guys are buying the top. You guys are buying the top.
I mess with T1.
This is a 50-50.
I like T1 in terms of like the fact that they're improving in terms of like structured play and whatnot, and I think they've been able to hang against some teams early on. But when it comes to these fast teams, I think that just disrupts them, and it's pure chaos, and there's just not anybody who can be the rock for that team. So
you know what? Swap my pred as well.
Let's go.
I don't like.
Is this gonna be the first reverse Plat chat guarantee, Josh? Josh, come on.
I don't like T1.
Come on.
I'm out on T1. Team Secret, let's go.
Oh no, I don't like this anymore.
Sean, you swap back as well.
There's no way that I can join you. It's just too silly. It's too silly. Like I do agree that T1 might struggle against high tempo stuff. They do seem to lose their cool a lot. I feel like a lot of that comes from Zeta, just not particularly being mega experienced in terms of his calling. And some of the decision making as well from these players is off the goop. But I also just don't like what I've seen recently from Team Secret either. I feel like they've lost a lot of that structure. I'm not seeing them put their players in the best places to succeed. I feel like their players that have the highest firepower are often on like supportive roles where they can't have as much impact.
I agree. That's all correct. I agree. But the pace thing is just the W key moment. Easy.
If I go towards Secret, it's the most fraudulent Plat chat guarantee of all time.
No, come
I can't
on.
do it.
But do it anyway.
You changed
What
your
does it
pred to
matter?
K-Corp.
T1 Team Secret. Why?
I changed my pred to Karmine Corp because that's my brand, Barla. My brand is not Team Secret.
Josh, don't let him break you down. Hold true to who you are.
Peer pressure is real.
I'm not that heavily into T1. I don't really believe in T1 either.
Oh no,
that's the problem here.
You should predict against Carpe. I know you don't like your old Overwatch friends.
That's not true.
You hate
You're
them.
just throwing slander out there.
I've heard you talk shit.
I've heard the green room stuff.
That's unreal. That is unreal.
I'm just kidding.
I'm staying solid with my T1 pick. I'm denying the reverse Plat chat guarantee.
Okay.
Ooh.
But let's move on to Wyatt's weekly award then. Our final segment dedicated to Wyatt, who is doing a bit better as well, from what I hear. He was playing video games with us recently.
He's going to play Premiere with us this weekend. So,
So you can tune in to see Barla IGL and Wyatt play Sky?
I think so. I think that's the plan.
That'll be interesting. Okay. Wyatt's weekly award.
Oh, what's that? It's time for Wyatt's weekly award?
That's so good.
Dude, are these based
Junior girls basketball.
Are these based off of Better Call Saul? I feel like there's just so many moments. I'm like, dude, this is Saul in a nutshell.
I don't know. Kurt, confirm or deny?
Oh my goodness.
It's just random stuff we have in the house, and we turned the camera on. So we do love
Whose
Better Call
old
Saul,
phone
though.
is that then?
It's a great show. If you've never seen it, watch it.
Whose phone is that, Kurt?
We found it at a thrift store for like $1.
Right.
Nice.
Okay, great. All right. Wyatt's weekly award this week goes to a player from China who has trolled unbelievably hard by forcing the casters to say his name accurately. Or like that's what he wants going forwards.
Yeah, but what's his name though?
His name is
Not too
HFMI0DZJC9Z7. And he wants the casters to say his name letter by letter. Like he said
bro, what
that
do you
he wants
mean?
the casters to say it out.
He just slammed his keyboard. That's what he did, bro. That's what he did.
He said it's got a lot of meaning for him. He said the meaning is a secret. It represents my entire life from childhood to now.
I've got to say the whole name. No.
This name was specifically created to challenge commentators with its pronunciation. I mean,
I'm not casting anymore.
What a troll!
Good luck, Bala. Good luck, Josh. Good luck out there.
We've got to come up with just our own name.
JC9Z7. HFMI Z0. Dude, I can't do it.
You're gonna say that every time.
I'm calling him keyboard.
Imagine he gets a trade, like a really important trade on a site hit. You just have to squeeze that in there on.
HFMI Z0DZG.
Yeah, clutch. Massive 1v2
with the Red Bull clutch.
And he will be at Tokyo as well because the Chinese teams have already been locked in. Like am I right with that? There's two Chinese teams that are going to Tokyo, and they've already been decided way before everybody else because that just happens to be when the Chinese tournament wrapped up. So it's the team that you know and love,
EDG.
Edward Gaming, and then it's also this team Attacking Soul Esports who have HFMI on the team plus DZ7.
HFMI. I don't know who that is. There you go.
Oh, you don't know who HFMI is. Oh, sorry. I mean HFMI 0DZJC.
Look at that agent pool.
Z.
Oh, now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah. So this is also these. It's really cool that these are the two teams from China who are attending because you get to see a brand new Chinese team that we haven't seen before at this kind of level, and you get to see Life playing against his former team. This is the team that Life used to play for. It was the top two fraggers on this EDG squad were Kang and then Life. And then they made the move for Smoggy to come in from the bench because Life wasn't able to play at Champs. Smoggy ended up playing really well. They kept him full time, and now this is Life playing against his former team. So I think that's a sick storyline, and it's also just going to be awesome to get another look at a different Chinese team. Got to be honest, though, haven't watched any of the VODs, so I have no idea how good they're looking at the moment.
Oh,
I don't have a clue.
They're cooking.
Yeah?
I haven't watched much either, but I looked at the VLR pages. They're cooking.
I'm excited.
What, like comps?
Yeah. It was crazy. Some of the comps I was seeing in that. It was mostly FPX, so I'm glad they're not here. But actually, I'm not glad. That would have been content. But both of these teams are cooking.
I love watching the Chinese teams play. Like watching, who was it that played 100 Thieves?
EDG at 100 Thieves.
Or was it? I think it was FPX though. Was it FPX or EDG?
No,
FPX
it was
also
EDG.
Karmine Corp.
It was EDG. Okay, yeah. Bro, that game was insane.
That game was crazy. They were
That
really
game
It was
good.
a great game.
They improved a lot since
like the mechanical skill on those players was unreal.
Yeah.
They also have the
Yeah, it
best
was.
names in China as well. Outside of that name, obviously. Like Nobody, Life. These are just good names.
I like Sword
Those
9.
are crack games.
Sword 9 was cool.
I'm just scrolling through some of the comps now. They're playing double duelist Omen on Lotus.
I
while the
love
other
some
team-
double duelist.
While the other team plays solo Omen double initiator, like the kind of comps that we've seen NLG play in the past that just got dominated. And then you see on Pearl, they're playing like the meta comp from Edward Gaming versus the team that the comp that like that Global are playing, for example, on Pearl as well, the KO Fade kind of stuff. Just one team smoking the other. It's very interesting. It feels like a lot of these teams could benefit from just copying comps from the top teams.
Harbor Omen on Split. Gecko
With
too.
Gecko.
Harbor Omen Gecko. They are cooking. Holy fuck. That's crazy. And a jet, not even a raise. They do not care.
And Gecko and Icebox too with Harbor Viper.
God,
Wait till they pull this out at Tokyo and it just absolutely
pop up.
farms.
Yeah,
Just
they're
they've
about
got
to
the Gecko
They're
tech.
setting the meta. They're setting the meta.
Edward Gaming, final map of the grand finals. Both teams tied at 2-2. They lock in the Gecko on a scent and get 10 kills with it and lose.
They used the
13-11.
Dizzy 53 times in their opening half alone. They have some tech that we've never seen before.
Oh, just crazy. I always love watching the Chinese teams play. It's fantastic VOD review content before they get to the event as well. But we will have to all agree on how to spell or how to pronounce HFMI's name because I ain't saying that full thing. There's no way, man. All right, that about does it then for episode 132. Thank you very much for coming along, TMV and Sean. Barla, not going to thank you because you're always here.
Fuck you, dude.
That's just what happens. Also, not going to thank you because you ruined our monetization. When we make no pennies off of this, that's all your fault. It's coming out of
actually
your
getting
salary, young
You
man.
did the politician fist.
Yeah, the politician
I'm
fist.
getting fired.
It's coming out of your salary, young man. So yeah, you can become a member on the channel, and we would really appreciate that. So if you enjoy the show, consider joining and becoming a member. You won't get anything for it, but it'll help us eat our dinners. And Curtis needs a new bed, I think. So he's just been sleeping on a bag of cardboard that Riv left out back. So he really, really needs a bed frame. Okay, that does it for us then. Subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. Bye.
Stop smiling, dude.